Time for the TCG. I actually already did dailies this morning at work because I forgot that I was gonna do it later, but that means no time wasted on stupid garbage, so there you go. Exciting stuff. That's right, it's you. That's right, and today it was... oh, lots of code redemption. That's one thing. Could... yeah, 2 moral ley lines. I'm just sad that Flynn's is second half, because that means I'm going to have to wait. Oh well. Also, Anefa is in other locations, apparently, that I had not checked out. Apparently she's by the Varus' Skirk artifact domain, and also by... let's hop up here. Cool. Love that ability. Okay. Varus artifact domain, the Children of Echo's stage, and the Flower Feather clan, just in general. And apparently when she's there are things to do. It's some kind of recipe or keepsake item, which is interesting given that presumably she's gonna stop being in that one once Archon Quest for next patch starts, which means that could be a limited time thing. I don't know. Generally they don't do missables in this game, but you know, you always gotta check and all. Okay, cool. Nice and pretty strong team. I like it. Of course, not as good in single target. Apparently the best Flynn's team is Sucrose, Anefa, Flynn's, and actually a non-bursting Fiorina, which is so funny. Just inherently. And punch you like that. That's some damage. Come on. And use this to keep the Hydra up faster. And okay, cool. Just ran out of Xing Xiao time, but that's okay. Maybe I should have put in Anefa first, but these are literally ley lines. They don't matter. The other real question is just the Constellation Redeem. Probably either going to go for Nilu C1 or Shenhe C1. Of course, I got to get Nilu next patch first, but that's Sumeru Chronicled, so it shouldn't be an issue. It would be nice to get another... how'd this end up here? A Shenhe Khan for a second charge, because as compared to something like Baiju, a second charge on his skill, both of them would be able to fit 2 in 20-second rotation on a single bit of field time, but Baiju is easier to weave in and out. There aren't really teams that need Baiju, well, in general one, but that would really need a second charge at one time. You can really wait for his cooldown, and it doesn't make it cooldown faster, so if he's able to weave back in, it doesn't really make a difference. But Shenhe, you're working with Skirk or Thesli, and that does mean that having 2 charges right at the outset is great for energy, for one thing. Probably invest more in attack, honestly, at that point. Could probably get away with a full attack set, even with something like Calamity Queller, which, to be fair, I don't have to test, but... and then Nilu, you can only ever redeem 1 of the free cons per character. Though I imagine they'll probably lift that limit eventually. But with Nilu, goodness, it's just a duration increase on her skill aura or damage on the actual sword stance, which you never use, which would be good just for uptime and more balloons. Even though it's not C2, which is the Res Shred, which is really good, though to be fair, you're probably going to have a Deepwood user on any good Nilu team anyway, so... you know, to what extent does that matter? Let me just check character archive, because that'd be... don't have you. Okay. It's gonna be... it didn't mean to do that. Come on. Details. Details. Yeah, because that's pretty good, but you're already gonna have Deepwood on that team. 6 seconds, and that's... Let me see. It's not full uptime. No, it makes it full uptime. That's crazy, actually. That's actually really good. That's actually a legitimately good C1. And I think that's probably what I'm going to go for. Especially for Stygia next patch for Llama team. Well, I mean, to be fair, if it's single target, Hyper Bloom would maybe work better anyway, but who really cares? Okay. Well, and this is the first place she shows up in post-quest, and notably, this guy's dialogue is actually completely unchanged. But she talks about, I know. Picking juicy grain fruits when you're traveling them? Oh wait, do robots eat grain fruit? Analyzing grain fruit can be added to a crumb cake recipe to significantly boost dietary fiber and grain fruit praise. Making corn cereal. If Aino consumes only smetana and laka berries, this does not constitute a balanced diet. Okay. Then she should also be at the dance-off stage, I believe. Let me check. So it might be a matter of they choose one location for your Enefa post-quest. And no, she's actually here as well. Teleported, huh? Tano, Propoli, and Enefa. You were really throwing some shapes up on that stage. I've never seen someone dance with such power before. It was epic. Can you show us again? Sugoi. Talking about dancing. Dancing robot. Joanne's cool. Please try again later. So not now. Is that the robot? I thought that dance was the stuff of legends. Oh. So of course they would have a robot dance for real in a world without robots. And then she should also be over by this domain. Somewhere. Oh, right outside. I fought this guy so many times and I just never looked the other way. The great volcano of Tolan. I've heard this is the manner in which the people of today refer to the sacred city. And these are her memories as a dragon AI. Is that where the mirror of the dawning morning yearned to go? The place she hoped she might belong. No one is waiting for a return, not even there. Because they've all shut down. Turan Daikazan. The final is somewhere in the Flower Feather clan. Where is ya? ¿Dónde está? Well, flight is always good. Is she over by where the kids were during the Archon quest? The answer seems to be no. She's over by one of the flight platforms. Oh, Adieta. Oh, the kid with the flower. So it's her again. Nice and gentle. You don't want to break it. Now stick it on the top. So after the quest, they finally managed to actually get her the flower. Oh, I crushed it again. What are you doing? Being a big clumsy robot. Hello, traveler. I'm learning how to make a flower-shaped machine component. I wish to take some souvenirs back to Note Crown to give to the people waiting for my return. Really, that would just be I know. I don't know about Uncle Parka, but I know all of it for sure. Another thing, please take this. Another. Kochira dozo. What is it? It's one I made for you, a souvenir, a reminder that we met. Also, thank you, traveler. Cool, Tabibito-san. Arigato. And notably, that's a second flower. Let me see. Pick these up to trash them, for one. But let me see. So that's a furnishing. Yeah, so you get one as part of her Archon quest, and then she just gives you another. So you can get 2. There you go. And at this point, if you repeat the dialogue, it terminates after the second line. As such. Yeah, because you can't craft it, but you can get a second keepsake for some reason. Okay. Well then, the... Oh, thank you for the follow, Chizo TV. I'm just about to do this patch's TCG challenges because I'm one of the 2 people who actually still does TCG in 2025. It's, you know, the few the strong. The really interesting thing is, well, of course I stole the decks. But what's really funky is that the challenges that are up right now, you can actually beat them without having to use any action cards if you have the right team to put together. And by right, I mean a couple of very specific busted teams that abuse reactions, as one does. In particular, it's Mona, Fischl, and Collei, and Mona is just here to take damage, so... Let's just put in... None of these cards are actually going to get used. They are all here to tune. So that's fun. But how are you doing? Nice to meet people. Just having fun here. Friday night after work. Not that busy because it's Labor Day weekend. It's really funny because people were just all, oh yeah, be really busy. People were going to be coming in. It's the end of the month. And then it just didn't happen. And it was actually a pleasantly relaxing day. I was banking on that because I really did not want a busy day. Because I went for a run yesterday. Working my lazy bones for the first time in a while. Yeah, Flickering Candlelight. 1 candle of life will be lost after an opposing character uses a skill. 6 candles. What if it was candies? You will lose this match after opposing characters take elemental reaction damage. Deal 1 piercing damage to all opposing characters. If the elemental reaction triggers a pyro reaction, gain 1 Omni die max 3 times per round. And you're basically meant to do this with some kind of burning team, for example. Work really well with Kongamato / the Mountain King who got added this patch to TCG. But that's not how it's going. That's not how I'm handling it. I stole this strategy, of course. So I don't care. All of these are just getting used to tune. Basically, can't let them use 6 skills. I don't care about that. We'll get some basic reaction damage, but literally all we're doing here is just letting Fischl and Collei set damage down, and then having Mona soak hits, because she's also a nice fast switch. Which will make things easier. Put them down for... The really nice thing is that since that deals some electro damage on its own, she's got some of the best reaction and application in the TCG for people who care about that kind of thing. We're going to use her Boomerang, and then Oz will proc a Quicken, dealing a bit of extra damage and setting up a bit of extra damage too. And we'll just sit Mona down here, and she's going to get beat up next patch. So the enemy will hit her, but the nice thing is that since her unique trait as a card is quick switch away from Mona, not a free switch, still is a dice cost, but a quick switch. Yeah, thank you. It's really about understanding it and making it easy to explain, really. Because it's... The main thing is keeping things simple. Also, no pressure, but there is a fan community server, if you have any interest, down in the description. We don't bite, probably. But my main thing is... Okay, let me just check real quick. And then we switch to Collei nice and fast. Big thing is... It's gonna take her out immediately, so that candle's not gonna go down. And then... We'll have the burst up. We'll put the burst down and then switch back to Mona, and that's going to finish things out. So you see, Quicken deals a bit of extra damage when it procs. It's one of the best reactions, actually, for this specific reason, as you can see. It has 2 usages of +1 damage. Though, to be fair, it is just damage. A lot of other reactions have other bonuses as well, so it's a little rough at times. It's not perfect, but it's still useful. Put that down, and we're going to get another... Quicken from good old Fischl next round. So let's switch back to Mona so you can take a few hits. Yeah, this is a very, very strong team for when you don't want to bother with action cards. It's got summons that can a lot of off-field reactions. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it is pretty good in a lot of cases. So the next thing to do here, though, I am kind of worried about tuning. Because I had to use a lot of cards last round, because you see you can switch kind of die you got that way. Gotta make sure we can get a bit of... No, we can make this work. Gonna have to put Fischl down. Switch you in. Put Oz back down, and this should finish things up. That said, gonna switch Mona back in. She is going to proc another reaction, which should actually, because of the piercing damage, the spread damage when we get a reaction, do a bit of extra... Oh no, that's the... What the heck? Okay, I messed something up there, and I don't quite know what that was. So you see, they use an extra one. What we had to do was take someone out. Not quite sure what the issue was there. It's probably a matter of... I had to have Fischl in at the end of that round to make sure that she could actually get it off before the last skill was used. That was the problem. Now I see. Okay. One way or another, it's get Collei's burst up as fast as possible once you've got Oz down. Like I said, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. My question for you is, did you see the anniversary live stream today? And if so, what did you think? Because I know a lot of people were saying interesting things about the level 100 uncap. And for what it's worth, what I will say is that it's kind of meaningless for better or worse in that things aren't really balanced around it, I would say. I think it's very, very interesting, because it's always important to talk about this game in the context of other Hoyo games, in that people were talking about the idea, okay, what are they going to do to rebalance old characters? And it was, I think, it's hard to say that without... The die has not yet been cast, so to speak. Because the big thing with Natlan is that it was a lot of fun, but mostly in retrospect, in that there were a lot of controversies when it came out, and there was a lot of people who were weirded out, myself included, by the fact that it was, you know, a more modern aesthetic, which, for better or worse, wasn't what people were expecting or used to. And it had a lot of charm. I still think the people who try to say it was precedented in universe are coping. You know, it wasn't precedented. And it honestly didn't necessarily have to be. But I don't think it's really possible to deny that it was a little out there. But again, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. The big thing about it is, I think Hoyo definitely didn't really have that much of a plan, or at least had a lot of surprises when the game came out. Because it's very obvious that Natlan was significantly written behind the scenes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think for the purpose of things being as they are, that it was probably a pretty good idea. But okay, the candle. In that, because you look at how different Yansan is from every other single character in the game. And, okay, something has happened here. Okay, now I understand what had to be done. It's, you have to let Collei deal the hit here so that you can have, okay, now I understand. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. I would say that Natlan is probably the most... I'm going to try a different one and maybe study the ancient texts on this again, because that requires a very specific order of actions. The character kits have probably been the most fun, period. The really funny thing with this one is that it doesn't actually use the mechanics at all. You just put down your summons. But, because you see this here, you're supposed to use these origami cards, which requires using cards to summon and use origami, and I just don't do that. But the big thing is, The fact that the kits all involved movement made it really, really novel and enjoyable. Because you were constantly bouncing around the field. Yeah, there are squirrels there. Just like you. You're constantly bouncing around the field. You're never staying still. And that's what's so interesting about not one kits. Because, Chaska is ultimately very much a point-and-shoot kind of character. The fact she's always above ground and can very easily strafe away from enemies makes her very, very interesting in ways that other characters who are maybe point-and-shoot... I like Noob. He's very quality of life. But his gameplay is... The way in which his gameplay is interesting is mostly in the sense of you get to do interesting rotations to weave him in and out of field because he doesn't have a requirement that he doesn't have a long field time requirement. And in fact, if you're using Sacrificial Jade from Battle Pass, which I do because, I wasn't spending on weapons back when he came out, Unfortunately, I'm unhappily employed now, so the benefit is spending on weapons. Yeah, part of what makes Nuve really strong is running funky rotations. And this is simple. It's just about survival, which means Mona gets to take all the hits. Which is kind of sad. But, ouch. Poor Fischl. The main thing, as I was saying, was you can weave him in and out, and part of what makes him a strong DPS, as in the ones that make him top tier, are funkier rotations. The big one, the last one that I really ran was one that was, oh goodness, it was basically he goes down on field. He uses his E at the start of rotation for particles for Furina to catch, and then, this is where it gets funny. Okay, let me see. Yep, and Mona takes that hit, and that's the important thing. Collapse is fine. We're okay with Fischl taking that hit. Is that Furina uses her burst, her skill on her burst, but not at the same time. The really funky thing, and this is where it gets silly, is that, okay, we're going to use a Hyper Bloom. Okay, and then Collei can bring it home. It's going to proc a Hyper Bloom like this and that. That's how it's going to work. Just going to stay on you, and Mona is going to die. Okay. Should bring it home, give us the big ol' Hyper Bloom. Holy big damage. Yep, and Fischl Collei just needs 2 boomerangs, and since we're not using any cards, we got over 10 high limit. But the way it works is, okay, let me just recount. Nuve E to create particles for Furina, because Furina makes his particles since she doesn't front load, so she's got to get her particles from someone else, so it's Nuve, they're trading. Something, not to get too much into discourse, something married couple. But as I was saying, don't shoot me, I'm sorry. But, and then actually between Furina's skill and Furina burst, you put in Citlali. And Citlali, what she does, she puts its Papa, so you get the Hydro Shred. And then, well, Furina can do good damage. She's a good off-field damage dealer. And then, you can also use Burst if you want to get the Cryo, the Freeze Up, which is actually pretty nice, because one of the things about the team is that it's a non-cryo-based team that can use Freeze, which can be very, very fun. Because it means you can immobilize enemies. Though to be fair, the best Nuve team now is Nuve, Ororone, and Nuve, Furina, and Shieldinen, which is also a fun one to run, but it doesn't freeze the enemy. But, as I was saying, you freeze them, keep them still, which there was an event some patches ago where it was a in two halves, one where you had a sort of mini-game-esque portion where you tried to trigger reactions, and another that was just a fight. I forget what it was called. One of them was, you had to do a bunch of stuff with freeze, you had to kill enemies after freezing them. And that was actually this opening hand sucks. Let's try this again. I was using that new Furina, Citlali, Escoffier team, and it worked very well. Also, you can get a lot of energy on the team, just because Escoffier and Citlali can use Fav weapons pretty well. I've thought about rejoining Citlali's artifact set, because she needs a lot more energy recharge than it gets a lot of times. This patch, Stygian, I use Sitwali, Malvika, Shion, and Bennett on the Papilla. And it's a good team that deals a lot of damage. The really weird thing about that Papilla fight is that you deal flat damage to it when you break its shield on the higher difficulties. That's based on the amount of Night Soul damage you deal. And the funky thing about that is it means that you want Night Soul to break the shield and Night Soul for damage, but it's not a full question of, okay, bring Keenich or okay, bring Chaska. So you can break the shield as quickly as possible, because you want to deal damage while in delay, unless you're really high investment, to be honest. Hate to say it, like both the characters enrolled for Chaska's weapon this couple days ago, last week to this Saturday, actually. So 6 days ago. So that I could, because Eon Blight Drake is next patch, and that is Chaska's boss. That is a boss for Chaska and basically nobody else, especially the way it is in Stygian. The way it's going to be in Stygian is it's a lot like the Bronze Lock local legend, which is that when it gets a resistance, you can't actually make it drop the resistance. You have to just bite your lip and bear it. Which means that you need a team that's dealing at least 2 elements of damage, otherwise you're in hell. And actually, oh, that's the problem. I see. That's the problem. That's why I had to let Collei stay on field, so that she can kill her first thing, because even though there's no damage being dealt, the fact she's able to start her burst sequence at all is lets her tick down my death timer. That was the issue. Right. Yeah, well, what I'll say is, TCGs, these are the monthly challenges, which are deliberately pretty gimmicky in a lot of ways. They add a lot of mechanics which aren't there in base to make the challenge more interesting, because normally it's not a matter of kill it before they use 6 skills, it's a matter of beat them at all. Or sometimes beat them within a certain number of turns, but it's almost never going to be something like this. There are gimmick missions that come around every week, but they're not this unforgiving. Especially since, basically, there are 3 kinds of monthly challenges, and they rotate. There's one where it's an endless wave challenge, basically clear as many waves as you can. There's one that's do a gimmick fight, and you'd have a difficulty select. And you can try to beat it on max difficulty, or you can not do that. And then the other one is one where it's gimmick fights, but there's no difficulty. It's just beat it at all. And obviously it's the most inflexible and probably the most gimmicky, because as you see right here, I couldn't make this any harder or easier. And maybe, arguably, you could say it's easier than the max difficulty of the difficulty select one, but it's rough. But in exchange, it's also gimmicky to the point where if you can use the gimmick, or get around the gimmick, it becomes pretty easy. Which is cool, because it's solving a puzzle. But back to what I was saying before I got off track. Basically, the way, well, that's a problem. That's a problem. Oops. But it's just you that time, so it's not a huge problem. Now we put it on Mona, and Mona will survive. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. Believes that the underdog will eventually survive. Famous song by great Australian band Men at Work. Why am I talking about this? But yep, and exactly, we survive with 3 instead of 1, which makes the difference here. Yeah. So I was saying, big thing is gonna be, of course, Electro Charge will deal the spread damage as well. This should be good. Let's just run the numbers in our small, exhausted brains. But the way the rotation works is Nuve E, first off, give particles to Furina, because Furina gives Nuve his particles. Put Furina E down so you can start draining the team's HP, but you don't burst immediately, because then you kind of waste it. Then what you do is, yep, and you see the piercing damage means you'll switch back to Mona. We'll use 1 singular normal, actually. It's going to deal a bit of damage. It's going to pierce that here. See, piercing damage, because Electro Charge by itself is piercing damage. Gonna take you out. Go ahead, I don't care. You're literally going to kill Mona. It doesn't matter, because the burst will kill you. Uses a skill, it doesn't matter, because you attacked after prepping it, but only the initial prepare counts as a skill for this purpose. Prepare skills are different, because this is a card game, and everything is a different kind of tagging. Thank you, Yu-Gi-Oh! This is basically Yu-Gi-Oh! Not really. Not at all. The really interesting thing is that thank you. I'm happy to. They rebalanced character HP, because until a couple of patches ago, every card based on a playable character had a set 10 HP. They did other things to tweak balance. Other cards based on enemies could have less, never more, just less, because they'd have other durability gimmicks. But recently they started boosting characters' HP outright, which I think was a good move. It was cool to have it be the same for all characters, because, you know, they're all playable and all, but what I find really interesting is one of the characters' HP they boosted was actually Ganyu, which is kind of a funky choice, but I suppose it's meant to reflect the Ice Lotus, but really it's just meant to be, damn it, balance changes. Okay. Before I start another match, let me explain the funny Sattali team rotation. Okay, Nuve E to battery Furina, because Furina's E is battering Nuve, not her, because it's not front-loaded. Then you switch in Sattali to use E and maybe Burst if you want more Kraug, if you want to freeze more things. Though it does, of course, take more time and you need more energy to keep it up. Then you use Furina Burst, because now that you've had the team soften up its HP a bit, that means that when Escoffier uses her burst to heal, that's actually causing percentage change. It's not going to get wasted. If you used it more quickly, then Escoffier is going to overheal. And Furina's burst counts percentage change, not just the amount of healing. So you gotta lose HP to gain HP if you want to get damage from Furina. And then you put Nuve on, and he uses the particles, the balls he put down, and then when that Biden Blast is done, then his E and Q are ready again. And then what you do is immediately after, because if you're using Sack Jade, it's a bit more flexible if you use any other weapon like Proto Amber or his signature ideally. Then you switch Sattali in to do nothing but a single normal attack to proc freeze on an enemy so that you get her not one support set Cryo and Hydro boost on everyone again. And then you put Nuve back in for 3 Biden Blasts, and then his E is back off cooldown, use it to battery Furina, rinse and repeat. And since Furina's summons are on field the whole time, Nuve is getting particles from Furina, and then Nuve batteries Furina in return. And it's a fun team. It's actually not that complicated a rotation. The main thing is that, well, kind of, as opposed to just each character in order, it's you bring Sattali and Nuve back on, but it's a 6-phase rotation instead of a 4-phase rotation, which isn't that crazy, especially when you get to the craziest ones are Nilou Boom teams, which I'm going to have to figure out. Been 2 years, no Nilou, and Samira Chronicle this next patch. They have Llama, who's a Bloomshield character. They're going to have a local legend Crab that is a devoted Bloomshield boss. But you can use Hyper Bloom too, and I might. But there you go. Yeah, it's interesting. If you have the characters, I'd recommend trying it. It's actually a very strong rotation and team. The weird thing, though, is that it's actually only his best, well, one of his best at C0. So the big thing is that if you're familiar with his passive, where when he triggers reactions, he gets... Okay, and the next one is, that's going to be, let me think. It's Yoimiya, if I recall correctly. Yoimiya. Okay, let me actually go back and check what was there. As you can see, they gave Beta 11. Such a funny choice, you know, they're all getting 12s. Then you have characters like Candace, Beto, Nuve with 11 for... I guess it reflects their, you know, Nuve's high HP, but that's about it. Yeah, he's kind of going down in meta. What I will say is that next time he's up is probably going to be a Chronicled. Well, I don't know. The question is, since they don't put Archons on Chronicled banners, is that going to mean no Nuve on Chronicled or no Furina? Or maybe no both, which would be really crazy. I would hate that, but I could almost see it. Okay, let me actually check. This team was Yoimiya, and then the last one was Mona, who didn't even show up. Then Shanyun and Farzan. Let me check this team real quick. But his C1's really, really strong, and of course the big thing is just getting to have interruption resistance, because without a shield, even with Sattali and F's shield, he is so fragile. It just gets beaten to death. But basically, you know, ideally, at least before Furina came out and became his best support, giving crazy damage bonus, you would basically, if you trigger 3 Hydro reactions, and to be fair, if you have an enemy with an aura, you can basically hack that without having to have the characters on your team. So basically, if you were fighting, say, Crab, you could cheat a little. You know, the Pyro Crab from Fontaine, but that's not reliable at all. Big thing there is, at C0, it's 15, 25, and then all the way up to 55, and that's not a damage bonus. What it is a flat multiplier bonus independent of any other damage bonuses that multiplies with them, which is a lot better because all the others just add up and quickly you get, diminishing marginal returns, so to speak. Essentially, 50% bonus damage means a good deal less when you're at 150 in total as opposed to at 100. Because, when you go from 100 damage to 150, that's a 50% increase. If you're going from 150% damage to 200 damage, that's a 33%, well, 33.3333 bar repeating percent increase, which is good, but not as crazy. Main thing is, if it's a flat multiplier, if it's multiplicative instead of additive, that's when it gets crazy. And that's what Noob's passive for reactions is. And then a C1, in addition to the points, as you may or may not know, it adds a flat 1 to that, which means you can get the full bonus, which is crazy. At just 2 reactions, it's kind of okay, cool, whatever. At 3 reactions, it's a big bonus. It's a big difference. The big thing is that since it adds just 1 stack of that bonus, no matter how many reactions you're doing, when you're at his C1, that means you max out at 2 reactions, which means it's something like a Furina, Nuve, Shionen Kaza, or Enefa Kaza, Enefa Shionen team is going to fill that bonus and get a big bunch of damage. Of course, the Satuali Escoffier Furina Nuve team has 1 reaction, freeze. Unless, of course, you find an enemy with inherent application or aura, which is nice but not reliable. You can't hack that always in a live fire situation, so to speak. And, of course, that makes it rougher. Okay, and this team was Yoimiya, and then... let me just check. Yoimiya, Kaching, and Farazan. That's what's funky. Okay, cool. Yoimiya, Kaching, Farazan. That's why I didn't remember, because it was ridiculous. I really like Farazan TCG. I really like Farazan in general. Maybe more than I should. Persian Miku. And then they added Mexican Luca. And then French/German Len, but nobody cares about that. They're very pretty. A lot of people have talked a while about, okay, why don't they give us the ability to select them as profile pictures? Probably because they'd be too good. They're saving that in the same way they were saving level 100 uncap and free cons. End of round 1. Okay, technique. We're not using techniques. I don't really care about that. That's fine. Let me see. Yeah. Techniques are interesting. They're interesting, but that's about it. Literally, and Yoimi is literally here to stall for time so we don't get frozen. That is all she does. By using the cheapest skill in the game. That is her whole contribution. And none of these actually do anything because we're not using techniques. Techniques are a fun gimmick. It is interesting how they can do direct balance changes and experiment in TCG because no one pays for this. Yeah, poor Yoimiya. World's most useless C1. If you go for her, it's because of love, and that's it. Okay, let me see. Not that there. Let me see. And then. Rolling spray, and now we get to electrocharge on everything. That's all we're doing. Let me see, and select or using a technique. Let me see. We could try a cheap one, but no, we're just gonna run it like this. And this kills him. I actually didn't watch it live, but I saw the trailers, and they were interesting. I was a little displeased with, and this just kills him. It's so funny how good Farazan just is in TCG. Not as an animo buffer for Wanderer like she is in the main, and for Zhao to a lesser extent in the main game, but just abusing Swirl, because she gets really cheap animo app, and Swirl is legitimately busted in TCG. Just anytime you're fighting slimes or anything with inherent aura, just spam Swirls. As a main carry animo DPS Aoife, that's incredible. I love that. I thought about doing that, but I'd have to put together another... Well, he could probably just steal my Wanderers, or my Sethos' Desert Pavilion. The really funny thing is, of course, as you may or may not know, is, we got the Platinum on Farazan. Gotta love it. Desert Pavilion is actually about as good as Wanderer's Troop on Sethos, just because of the attack speed buff. Even though he gains nothing from the animo damage bonus. It is really funny that he shares an artifact set in that sense with, you know, the character who is literally added is just, you know, government-mandated yaoi for. It's just, you know, Scar didn't have a boyfriend, so people were getting mad about, you know, him and Nahida, which, interesting. And then Scar Ramona, which, you know, whatever. So they had to say, this man is gay. He's homosexual. He's flaming. This is his boyfriend. And don't you get it wrong. It's so funny. It's so funny. I will say, because it's... I do like the Ororone Aoife dynamic a good deal better than I do the Haikave dynamic, frankly. If, you know, if you have an interest in this discussion right now. But essentially, yeah, well, they did that for a while before Scar became Wanderer. Just because, you know, there weren't as many characters in the game. And, you know, they have some established relation as Fischl, but that was really... They were scraping the bottom of the barrel there. They were dark days. Dark days for Yaoi. Okay, really up. But interesting. Can get some there. But we're going to have to do a lot of tuning. Honestly, let's just reset and get more Animo dice. Yeah, dark days for Yaoi. But it... You know, in addition to just, you know, yearly mandated Yaoi. And I guess you could say that Ahau and Kinich is kind of the same thing with a bonus of, you know, 2-in-1 characters. So they got, you know, one of them out of the way just with one character release. Say what you will. You know, am I complaining? Maybe. About what? You'll never know. But, as I was saying, we do this here, and then we switch to Farazan, and it's a cheaper switch, and then we'll switch back to Shan Yun at the end. She gets a little extra Animo hit, which is, guess what? Another swirl. Well, yeah, because, you know, it's not like there were a lot of other male characters in Natlan. You know, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel so hard that people who would normally never get caught dead doing a het ship Kinich and Milani. Okay, do that there, and then we start shooting. This is what I love. Anyway, I started blasting. Do this here. That is the shot, and then we finish it off with the Farazan Burst. It's just, she's arguably, Sucrose is good at this too, especially since when you use Sucrose or Jean for this. Sucrose probably, because she's also got Animo normals. You can force switches to meddle with the enemy's game plan. But for this, you can just do it like this. And the big thing is that you get a 2-cost, love that animation, 2-cost normal that deals Animo damage 2 after you get this here. So you can get a lot more Animo hits in. And then we do this. That kills straight up. And then, of course, we get an incredibly disrespectful tap from the Polyhedron. Good thing she's a mathematician. I started playing on Yua's first banner. So I'm year 1, not day 1. I kind of wish I was. It's really, really funny. Because a lot of some of my IRLs, so to speak, got me into the game, basically as they were quitting. And then I stayed here because I'm categorically incapable of quitting games once I pick them up. Which is why I never pick up new games, because I will never give them up. And that's not sustainable. Question is, who do we pick? Honestly, maybe a Collei or Mona or Fischl. We gotta pay respects to our girl. Bless you. Putting in work. Farazan always plat, so no need for that. And then we got weeklies. Well, whatever. Those aren't interesting. It's got a bunch of invitations lying around. Let's pick up the newbies. Want to play cards? Sure, I just so happen to be up for a match myself. I'm sorry. Hit! Wanyon's deck is built around shields and excels at wearing down opponents with defensive strategies. So, the team I use, because I haven't bothered putting a better one together after I stole my last general purpose Kato Gamo. When I play Shrew, I usually just play for fun. That doesn't mean I'll go down easy. So, who are we getting first? Wanyon's cousin or Xingqiao's brother? Nobody. We're getting Granny Ping. Okay, gotta make sure. And this is my general purpose deck. Everyone's plat. This is the last deck I stole, and it's actually really busted. But Benny deck is great. The funny thing is you need Bennett's talent card, and yeah, well, we got it. There we go. Otherwise, you're totally SOL. So the big thing is that it abuses the fact that Hydro Herald, when it uses its skill, it does 2 hits. And Bennett's Burst applies... It's +2 damage per hit. So when you get a multiple hit skill, you can abuse it. Electro Hypostasis and Dvalin have 3 hit skills, but they're pretty clunky to use outside of very specific contexts. Dvalin exists basically just to be a swirl abuser for challenge missions against slimes in the same way that I just used Farazan. But I started during Eula's first banner, which was the back half of 1.5. I have Eula. She's still at level 70. I didn't get her then. I got her during Valorian Mirage. It's fun. I will say it's not the kind of thing you want to get sweaty about, but do it for the primos and play it every now and then. It's really, really funny, because they added the whole deal with... Oh, goodness. Let's put some cards down. We got Liben. Try to get an artifact on. This is decent, but I wanted Golden Troop, which would make the skill cheaper when you let them backbench. Okay, cool. Put that down, and that's Ozda card, which we won't use right now, but we'll leave you here. You are a shielding team. I don't have to worry about Benny dying. But if you hit me, I'll get another die. Won't be able to use it because I'm ending my round, but Liben will pick it up. Sitlala. Okay. But it's... If I want to be really funny, I guess I could get Eula C1. Given that it is, 4 free cons a year. That might be worth it at some point, even though it's... Honest to goodness, if I want a Cryo Claymore character to be an on-field Hyperbloom driver for mostly Imagineering Theater teams, I have Fremine. And he's honestly better. It's sad, but... to quote Metallica, sad but true. So, let me... hard to say. As I was saying, really, it's gonna be either Shenhe or Nilo for me. Though to be fair, Skirk and Rithesli, especially Rithesli, are not gonna be meta for a long time. It's... Nilo Khan would be good, get Nilo Samara Chronicle banner after opening the wallet I get from working the job I hate. Let's put that down on you so you can get a cheaper skill. Would have been better to do that first time, because you see it accumulates the buff that makes its skill cheaper, and that skill we want to spam with Bennett Burst up. But you have to wait till the end of round to make it accumulate, that's whatever. Yeah, who specifically? Nilo, Flynn's, Inefa, Lama, like I said, I'm just disappointed that... Oh, Flynn's is back half, because it means I'm going to have to wait to do Stygian. Because, of course... Let me see. That's not going to do much. Big thing is, let's put that down just for some app that you can vaporize. Big thing is going to be, if we play this, get a few more cards. I don't care about your burst. Not like your... Oh, wait. Oh, no, it just hit in the middle because it's piercing damage. I thought that was targeting the Herald specifically. No, it always goes center. Oh, Fremine? I mean, he has... Standard... he has a 4-star, so it wouldn't be too difficult to get him eventually, I imagine. Let's put this down, because we don't need Timaeus anymore. It's whatever. Okay, cool. Let's get a cheaper switch, we get a cheaper talent card. This could be good. Oh, yeah, And that is the pain of remaining unspoiled. It's... I respect people who don't even look at character leaks, but I do pity them. Especially since they do drip market, but it's... Flynn's doesn't need her, but it's what makes him go from being, decent and passable to being, of course, meta in the way that newer release characters are. It is interesting, because honestly, if the game has to have power creep, and of course this is bootlicking, but if the game's gotta have power creep, it is better for it to be... Essentially, the team is strong if you have 2 characters instead of one single meta-breaking character. Especially since, Escaf, yay. That's what makes Skirk meta. But you can use her with Ayaka or Rithesli or Nuviet, and it still does the trick. I suppose you could say ideal is no power creep, but We don't live in that world. But the big thing here is, as you can see, normally you gotta have at least 7 HP to get the damage boost. When you use his special constellation card, it always is active. The big thing is, literally, unless you use a max HP card, which is stupid, they suck, Hydro Herald can't have 7 HP. His max HP is 6. So if you want to make that work, you have to use that talent. Yeah. It is interesting, and like I was saying before, it's plain that the buff people were talking about to older characters was in reference to the free character cons. And it's, you know, comparing this game to ZZZ, comparing this game to... Actually, that is a free switch, so we could put down another... Yeah, we could put down another. The big thing is that, as you can see, you have to do a lot of tuning to spend this skill. Fair, fair. What I mean is that with HSR, it's just numbers. They can just change numbers. With ZZZ, it is real time, so they have to worry about hitboxes, they have to worry about frame data, as in speed of character attacks, how wide they attack, in a way that this game, that HSR does not. But also, this game devotes resources to the open world and a lot of high-quality story cutscenes in a way ZZZ kind of doesn't. So it's... To be frank, if they were to... Sure, let's put that down. Why not? If they were to devote dev resources to boutique rebalances per character, boutique buffs, that would take dev resources away from a lot of other things to a greater extent than their other games, which are frankly a lot less resource intensive, especially a lot more less resource intensive per character. Because that's why ZZZ, and especially HSR, can, you know, not to be derogatory, they can absolutely just crap out characters. Because it doesn't take as much per character. That's why we've got 2 5-stars per patch in HSR pretty much without exception. Because it doesn't take as much to put a character in. And that's just the kind of game it is. That's not bad, that's not good, it's just a different kind of game. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's going to be a trade-off. And the trade-off in this game is... You get high-quality cutscenes, you have a massive open world that isn't in any of the other games, but fewer characters come out, and it's a lot more difficult to rebalance them than it would be in a game like this. Well, like the others. That's just how it is. That's life. But, this looks... So now all we gotta do... You know what? What are we gonna do? We could use the burst and style on him, and I think that would be fun. I think that would be lots of fun. So let's do that there. Okay, just a second here. Go for it. Torrential Shock. Yeah, that's... I feel mean about styling on people when they're real people. I feel a lot less mean about styling on people when, you know, it's NPCs. But what are you gonna do? Okay, cool. So we got Lanyan, we got her cards. I don't know if we'll ever really use or need her, but it's... A lot of the meta is, of course, just in playing actual matches with other people, which I don't. Oh wow, looks like I've still got a long way to go. I really do like Lanyans and normals. And to be fair, you can use them competently on a taser team. Just because, you know, any kind of Animo normal, as an Animo Catalyst, is going to be good for taser, and it hasn't ended. What you should really try, even though it's nothing like the other mode, it's the auto battle mode. The trick with the auto battle mode is, and as dumb as it sounds, it's if you want to win, you reset until you get the Gluttonous Yunkasaur King, and you take things that reduce his energy requirement and give him more starting energy, so you can just spam his burst, which is 3 times attack, which is stupid. And I ran him with Dory. And your team in this mode can get up to, I believe it's 5 characters. But you're literally better off just focusing on upgrading the Yunkasaur King and one other thing. Because it's really easy to just... 180 max HP. He's basically unkillable. Not unkillable, but near unkillable. It takes something really crazy to get even close. And this was with spreading out the HP buffs between them, because the big thing is... And of course, auto battle's entirely different. Main thing is you can if you funnel him kills, which is best by having only one other character, so no other characters getting kills really. Just choose the minimum. Make sure he gets as many kills as possible. He makes food, which boosts max HP, and whenever you use max HP, give food, they get more max HP. So you create a stupidly durable unit that deals huge amounts of damage to begin with, and has a burst that deals 3 times the base attack, which normally TCG doesn't have base attack. Its set values auto battle is weird and different. I really wonder whether they might, because all the auto chess events in this game, they were dry runs for Nexus Anima. As little as last patch, they were doing dry runs for Nexus Anima in this game. So I wonder if they were doing the TCG or TCG auto battle for anything, but I think that would be very hard to make standalone. I don't know though. I think they could make a standalone card game. The main thing is that if they tried to do some kind of crossover, like they're kind of doing in Nexus Anima, and that, they have Blade, they have Kiana, but that's really about it in terms of difference there, crossover there. Though I imagine they'll get more as time goes on. It's Nexus, so I think the implication is more than a little there. But, oh goodness. If they try to make some sort of crossover TCG game, alright then, let's have a match. Hint, Shikanoin Heizo's deck focuses on elemental reactions and unleash massive damage. The Shika in his name literally means deer. Don't know why. But essentially, it doesn't really look like one. Why not? I'm between cases right now, so let's play. But as I was saying, it would be interesting to think how would they sort of harmonize different games' elemental systems? Because it's every other game. It's either just weakness or a sort of team synergy thing. It's only this game in which it's actually just the elements react with each other, and very rarely do characters actually have defined weaknesses. I like it. It's very, very different. But as I was saying, it's really what allows characters to stay applicable in meta, at least if they've got good app. Because it's, Sucrose is still good, and to be fair, it's mostly just because any animal character can hold BV. Any Dendro character can trigger Dendro reactions, though to be fair, those are kind of falling out of meta too. But okay, let's handle this. So basically, if we put down this on you as quickly as possible, then we can... I kind of wish I got Liben. It's going to be okay. We can let Ozda soak damage. That's fine. Basically, we got the talent card up to make sure that you can get and spam the damage buff. And switch over to you, tank the hits, why not? You are our sponge. That was... Alright, that is just 4 animo damage. Holy crap. I didn't notice that. It's a prepare skill which makes it harder to use, but that's the only requirement there. That's actually busted. Okay. But... I was gonna say, if you're doing pure animo damage, it's... I want to run stuff with Farazan, I suppose, but it's... Declension 2, Heartstopper Strike more quickly. Yeah, sure. My Eva team, it's not an animo carry Eva. It's him as a Lunar Charge driver with Oron and F and Xingqiao. The main thing is... You really want Farazan. Farazan's best set in a mono animo setting is actually Tenacity. Just in case you didn't already know. If you already know, great. If you didn't, well, there's your tip-off. Because, of course, Inepa's getting basically 0 from... I mean, VV is not going to do anything really meaningful if you're running Aoife as an on-field animo carry. Because you're not really going to be triggering swirls. You're not really worried about reducing the res, the damage of other elements. It's purely just, okay, go ahead, run it, and... Oh my goodness. The only thing I can think of is... Play a Winnie card to draw more cards, just to mill. That's okay. Big thing is you'll have 4 on Golden Troop, and that should be good enough. Sure, whatever. Okay, and you know what? March Ose should be good. Yeah. If I were running on-field DPS Aoife, and you would probably honestly want C6 Aoife, because he has a hard time keeping up with Furina's healing otherwise. You know, Bennett could kind of help, I imagine, but, I mean, Fiona's drain otherwise. Big thing would be, it's Farazan and Bennett for sure. The more Farazan cons, the better. The more Faru cons, the better. And then on top of that, probably Fiorina. Maybe, I guess, Zhongli if your budget. Just because there's more shred. You can probably just run Yelan or Xingqiao too. Probably Yelan if preferable, because she just gives a damage bonus to the on-fielder, and you don't really care about the elemental application, because it's just there for... Yeah, this is kind of free, because we're getting it from the dispensary. Cool. And we can use Ozda card next round. Cool, let's run it. Let's run it. Get the healing on there, which gives us another Pyro die. Now that I think that'll actually mean much. Cool. Go ahead, hit me. Yeah, probably Fiorina or Yelan, depending on who you've got. Barring that, Zhongli or just someone to provide some kind of buff. You know, Bennett would be holding Noblesse, and you can't double up on that, which is the sad part, but... Put that on you to make. Cheaper if we use that. Okay, let's run it. But ideally, it would definitely be Aoife Farazan, because Farazan's just essential for any Animo raw damage team. Okay, let's run it here. Bennett, because Bennett's busted. Also, level 100 uncapped doesn't do anything for Bennett. He gains about 13 base attack, so it's actually a trap. Use it, if you're actually trying to do it for strength, you run it on EM characters. Well, non-vaporized and melt EM characters. I don't count crystallize, obviously. And then HP scalers. It's actually gonna make... I'm not even sure whether Niuu's... Because you need... I think it's... something around... 74.44... 74.444.4 repeating max HP to max out buff. Which I guess... Maybe if you had our R5 key, it could be possible. That's silly. Oh, okay, so you're building up a Bennett. I would say, if you're investing in... If you're getting Stardust, invest in Bennett cons. Bennett's... I believe it's just a C1 that requires... Let me check. Bennett's C1 is massive, because it takes away the HP requirement for his damage buff, which is what makes him really work with Fiorina, if you need him to work with Fiorina. That's what I would recommend. Let's just put this on you just to get rid of it. Okay, cool. So. Oh. As in, oh, you've been here 4 years and no Bennett. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, is in you got some free Bennetts and that was your Bennett C2? Or just making sure. Okay, I should have milled a few more, but we got a cards lying around just to tune, so that's okay. And then... Well, that's actually a free switch, because you died. Come on. Play that, and Marchese didn't trigger because he died. Oh well. That's free dice. Basically 2, counting the switch. Go ahead, you can kill me. Well, you won't. Okay, pulling for Milani. Milani's fun. Clunky, of course. I tried using her for Stygian without any Sig, just Shielding and Sucrose Mavica. And of course, Satwali's actually better than Sucrose there if you can use her right, but it requires such a specific rotation. I just did not want to have to bother. It's funny that both teams, London team and the Hazer team, are both using shoulders. But one way or another, pretty good. Just keep on hitting you. You know what? We're gonna win either way. But let's be fun and use Boar Princess so we can get gamblers on here for free and then just get an extra die. That's called strategery. Put that on there too. It doesn't matter. We're gonna kill you. Okay. To quote Squidward in that one meme, we're gonna kill you. But, oh, see? More money. Ouch. Fair. As long as you're having fun. What I will say is, especially since, to be honest, Hoyo is splitting their base more and more, so they have to tighten the screws on the people who still play each individual game. You know, now they have turn-based, now they have full action, now they're going to have auto chess, which people are saying, okay, who asked for this? And the answer is that auto chess is big in China and not really anywhere else. But Because people were saying, why didn't they do a real sort of Pokemon-style battle game? And to be fair, I guess HSR is close enough, especially since they added memo sprites, but clearly something wrong with the setup. I think I know where the problem was. First and foremost, it's just the Chinese market is different from every other market in the world. The closest is the Japanese market, and it's still stupidly different. Which deck should I use? I don't know, you lost anyway. China is a continent-sized country. It got bigger, so if you want to keep playing, you have to try harder to keep up. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Gluttonous Umpus or Mountain King's Feast. Because I do personally think that engaging with a game seriously, not getting sweaty, but taking it seriously and trying hard to a good extent is more fun than just maintaining a level of detachment. Finite Gluttonous Rex's successor. Oh yeah, beyond the stories told to me by a friend from Nowland, beyond prying eyes in a hidden mountain valley, lives a giant Yunkasaurus that never stops eating, so it wishes to consume everything it lays eyes upon. Special rule gluttonous, not glutinous. I don't have celiac. Yunkasaur Mountain King is immune to frozen, stun, and petrification, starts with the talent card, the Owl Devourer equipped. So we can just kill it, that's fine. But the biggest difference is quite frankly just, there is really no concept of normal people video games in China. Basically, without exception, if you are playing video games in China, you're weird unless you're playing League of Legends or their own home market League of Legends equivalents. Like Wild Rift, like Honor of Kings, which in Chinese is literally called the League of Kings. And which is just very funny to me in a charming kind of way in that, there was a sort of, not even the sense of we're ripping you off because it's a mythological game. It's a fundamentally different kind of game, but just sort of, oh yeah, it's, League is the term to describe this kind of game. It's charming. Okay, so we need to use it on, well, could we? It's gonna use one. You have to have it full. You can't just use one transmutation material. You gotta use them all, otherwise you don't get to use any. That sucks. Okay, cool. We will switch around to make sure we don't die. You are gonna use... Oh, do I not get to see a... Oh, because it's a duel, not an... This is not an adventure challenge. You don't actually get to see their moves anymore. Being good at TCG is really just a matter of... Yeah, because you're using dice. Oh, the difference is that since you're about stealing cards, tools are about food cards and stealing cards, unlike most other boss challenges, it's not an adventure challenge. You have a deck with dice. And normally if you're fighting a boss card or an enemy card, you can see their moves, but since the Yunkasaur King's mechanics require drawing cards, they have to have it as an actual duel. Just a duel against one other card. Yeah. Being good at TCG is mostly about either knowing how to build a good deck, or if you're really high level, or stealing a deck from someone who does. In my case, it's stealing a deck from someone who does. But as I was standing on the shoulders of giants, actually, I don't know how tall they are. But basically... The Japanese market is very, very interesting in that everyone's so isolated, and anime-style stuff is its own cultural output, so it's relatively normal there. Not in the way it is pretty much anywhere else. Okay, let's put that down on you. Try to get a card. You can take some hits. You're probably gonna... I do not want to get hit by that burst with Bennett. Oh my goodness. Ooh, my goodness. That's a die. You know what? If we have to get hit, gonna get hit with you just because if you die, you survive, and we can heal back up to 6. Use that revive just to trigger the damage bonus we get when we revive. Okay, cool. Well, that's not gonna happen because the AI goes easy on us. Whatever. Let's actually just do this. Switch back out, because you're probably going to burst first thing, and Bennett. It's only 5 damage, but it's going to proc burning and therefore kills, so don't want that to happen to me. Oh, look! Yeah. It's strong, but it's not as good as it is in auto battle. It's a pretty nice thing to get, that damage subtraction, but it's not a permanent max HP increase, at least not every time. You don't get a full heal between matches, because it's not a multi-match thing. This is the one match. Let's do that. Cool, and that takes it out. Let's put that down, you know, whatever. Let's play Kokomo. That's fine. That's fine. Could use Boar Princess for Hydro Herald, but we probably don't need to. Okay, whatever. But as I was saying, basically you can do sort of broad appeal normal things and do, you know, kind of a weeby game in Japan. Because everyone stays in their house and never does anything except go to a job they hate and spend lots of money on gashing. But in China, it's a big country with, yeah, let's try this first, with a somewhat functional economy, and people can actually do stuff, which means, I love that laser beam. It's kind of sad that the auto battle doesn't have burst animations, but it's based around being fast, so they kind of gotta make some compromises. Which means that, you know, games are still weird for a very niche audience. The difference is just, China's such a big country that even for something, games are stigmatized, at least in parts of China. It's not, it's exaggerated, especially since China is so big that you can't really generalize about China in any real sense. But and now we gotta convert. Dumb. Well, we're not gonna use more than one of these per, so let's just use these. Convert those and play the last one. There are certainly a lot of places where it's stigmatized, but China's so big that no matter how much you stigmatize any kind of subculture, there are gonna be a bunch of people participating in it, just because there are enough people. To quote the Prime Minister of France, in a quote I absolutely love, Charles de Gaulle, "China is a large country inhabited by a great many Chinese." And that is basically the most important thing to understand when analyzing China. It's so big that basically none of the normal rules apply. Holy crap, this thing is... We have 5 rounds. Okay. Yeah, it seems the one who let their guard down was moi. We gotta switch to you. Liben. So we have to manage either a kill this round or a kill next round. I could put in Bennett to try to get his energy back up so we could burst again with him for next round. That would be a waste. That's not necessary at all. I'll be okay. Main thing is, we use this. Though no, that's the trick. We let the Yumka Storm kill us so we don't have to spend a die on switching. That is the trick. Okay. Go ahead, end my stupid rock wizard life. Yeah. Okay, come on. And of course, you don't hit me. You waste my time. Thanks. Well, let's run it. No, wait. Okay. Huh. How do you do that? Oh, the Mystique suit probably... Oh, not that. I guess it got a cheaper attack somehow. I don't know how. Whatever. Okay, this round has to quench it. We can just tune everything if we got it, that's okay. Sort of rainbow macarons. I'll eat you. Vengeance upon Nadia. Okay. Holy crap. Well, all we gotta do is break it down, and now we can keep on cutting you to bits. It doesn't matter how much HP, or how many damage resistances you have, because we have the power of spamming Hydro Herald skill with the assistance of Bennett, and it's really, really hard to beat that. Your healing, your defense, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that'll do exactly enough damage and take them out. How exciting. Cool. Goodbye. Boom. Good style on it. And that's all the new cards this version. All those unique tools. And you know what? It's time to do that photo event I promised, even if it's out of order. Okay, cool. So I can show you how this team is built, which is it's Aurorone on Fav Warbow for particles. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it. I talk all day as my job, and then I talk all night as my hobby. It's basically what I did in high school, too. That's many years ago. You got Sack Sword on the Chow. Ballad of the Fjords on Innefa. It's a pretty strongly built Battle Pass lance. I should have gone for her weapon. It's like, I live in America. What am I going to spend the money I make at my job on? A house? No. Sack Frags on Aoife just to max his EM. Doesn't always have his burst. Well, Innefa, he usually does. Innefa doesn't always have her burst ready. She'll get a rerun. I'll go for the weapon then. Ideally, I would say the kind of power level I'd like to achieve and that I think would be fun and not trivialize everything would be every 5-star at C0 and their signature at base R1. Yeah, exactly. It's an investment, you know? You get good weapons, you get good characters, you can put together interesting themes, make good YouTube shorts. Because TikTok doesn't matter, and it might get banned every other day now. Who knows? And show off your good teams, and then people will watch you. And then you won't actually make any money because YouTube deflated everyone's figures, and no one has any money anymore. But maybe I can learn Chinese or something and dance. I can move to China and be one of those guys who, you know, is white-looking enough to dress up and pretend to be Sun Wukong and get stuck under a rock while they feed him bananas. That's my future. That's what I proposed to one of my boys. One of my boys who before I got my current model, and Aoife is only C1, which sucks, because this would make the team a whole lot better by giving the team a lot more lunar charge bonus, but that's okay. That's okay. But, big thing is, we did a modded Minecraft playthrough. And then we had a duel at the end where I humiliated him. And that's why it was so fun. But it was of Dawncraft, which is a sort of, tries to turn Minecraft into an RPG, mostly a Dark Souls kind of one, which was fun, as someone who likes those kinds of games, but, okay, it's time. I have to actually do the photo event. Mementos of Teyvat, Prelude of the Frozen Veil. Oh, what's the Frozen Veil? Node Cry can't be. When you journey too far, you might forget even the most breathtaking moments you've seen and the warmest companions you've met. To keep that day from coming, you must anchor those memories. Keep them alive in the pages of a picture book. Talk to Paimon, Wayfarer's Whispers, stating you're about to travel to the Nation of Snow. Paimon seems to be sorting through all the photos you've taken along the way. Paimon's camera. Convenient gadget can record and store pictures of scenery. This one belongs to Paimon, aside from food and spending time with you. Paimon has many other hobbies, and photography is one of them. According to her, the pictures she has taken are enough for an exhibition. Perhaps one day you can hold a photography exhibition for Paimon. The really funny thing is that when the Yawn event was still on, you could fill up all 4 slots with a camera. Yawn camera's gone, but you could use camera, special camera, the Paimon camera, and then the Yawn, which you can't actually use as an item, but... You know, that's why I'm not really a player. I'm not really a Genshin player, because I read. I can read, and I do read. Except when I'm really tired, but I still read things that aren't weapon descriptions. Wayfarer's Whispers. Last Saturday, I think I said this earlier, offhand, but I picked up... Thank you. I went for Chosker's weapon, which looks pretty good, even if you never actually see it. Yeah, everyone's favorite white Latina. Yeah, that's why you know she's evil, and... You know, she left Cuba because they freed her slaves, but essentially, oh goodness, and is that is a mole? It's not just a speck on my screen. Okay, basically, rolled for it on a whim because people said roll for it, and it could be, but it could also be used for Chaska, and Eon, like I said, Eon Blight Drake in a modified manner that makes it specifically a boss for Chaska, and basically nobody else, except for maybe a Lunar Charge team, but even then, there's going to be a Fatui local legend in Stygian 2, which is specifically meant for Lunar Charge, so if you're using Flineffa with significant hydro damage on the Eon Blight Drake, that means you don't get to use them on the Fatui Fireblade Oprushniki guy. What I really like is that in the Chinese, Chinese at least, the Chinese original doesn't have nearly as many foreign language terms in it as does the Japanese and especially the English. And it's interesting because the Chinese is the original, the Japanese is translated directly from the Chinese, and the English is translated from the Japanese. So there are a couple of layers of mediation. But what's really weird is that there are a lot of lore things that are legitimate in the English, only revealed by the English, that are real. And one of the big things was that back when Inazuma had its 2.1 and we got some tidbit about Sumeru, they were saying, oh yeah, Lesser Lord Kusanagi, and it's just, okay, something mistranslation, because in the Japanese and Chinese it's Kusanagi Devi, which is basically just a goddess in Vedic religions. And it's sort of, okay, who she's the lesser to, this seems weird, but when it came out, it's okay, it was because there's Rukkhadevata. And in the Japanese and Chinese, she's Maharukkhadevata, which basically means the great god Rukkhadevata. So Nihida is just the god Nihida. Rukkhadevata is the great god Rukkhadevata. So there's a relation there, but there wasn't anything inherently hinted at her just being Devi in the Japanese and Chinese, because that's just, a god. But there was something evinced in the English, but the most interesting thing is that it isn't just a mistranslation. There are lore details behind the scenes that get hinted at by the English, or explained more clearly in the English, because it's oftentimes a little blunter, or at least has translations of foreign language terms that don't necessarily need to be, or foreign words that aren't foreign in the Chinese and Japanese. It's really, really weird. The biggest one, honestly, is that from the start of the game, you had the Irminsul trees. In the Chinese and Japanese, they were just called silver white trees. But of course, about a year and a half down the line, when we got the Diluc Hidden Strife event with a funny ley line around here and the various letters around Mondstadt and on Dragonspine, they explicitly name-dropped King Irmin. And so that it being Irminsul, with Conry and all, was hinting at Irmin's existence. But in the Chinese and Japanese, which are at least in theory more original, not just in theory, but are more original, they were just silver white trees. There was no Irmin mentioned there. There's no connection between the color silver and white to Irmin, which is to say the Norse Odin. Irmin's another name for Odin. But clearly they were behind the scenes saying, okay, yeah, this guy's Irmin, and they decided to reference him more directly in the English in a way they didn't in the Chinese and Japanese. It's so, so weird. Also, it means nothing, but Shatrakam just means mushroom. This is literally just mushroom cave. I don't know any other Sanskrit words. I don't even know that word for real. I just saw that on the wiki. But, it's very funky. But as I was saying, basically, the way it's gonna work, and we got sucked into a cutscene, the way Stygian's gonna work is... Yeah. But I know that in the Chinese, the big Fatui guys were getting next patch, the cool ones with the super weapons. They're just called shock troops in the Chinese. I don't know if they're called shock troops or Oprushniki in the Japanese, but in the English they're called Oprushniki, which is a reference specifically to Ivan the Terrible's secret police. On a somewhat related note, Ivan the Terrible is kind of like how the Fantastic Four, back when they came out, really meant sort of the weird four, the creepy four. And it was honestly their popularity that caused the term to sort of change its meaning in pop culture. But terrible, back when that was long ago, it meant the sort of, fearsome, as in terror, inciting terror. It didn't just mean bad. So when they said Ivan the Terrible, they meant Ivan the Scary, because he was maybe schizophrenic, maybe psychopathic, but he had violent outbursts, killed his own son in a fit of rage. I mean, he was abused as a child by the nobles, and that's why his program was basically limit the power of the nobles and use his secret police to kill him. But of course, can't really excuse killing your son, but... Oh, nice! And... Yeah, well, to be fair, I play with the Japanese voice track, so the same thing's true here. Which is fun. Now, maybe considering the way the world is going, I should learn Chinese so that when America falls, collapses under its own weight, I can, I can be set up as the new home ruler or something, you know? That's my claim to power. Never mind. Traveler over here, Paimon's got something nice to show you. It's a bomb. She's gonna kill us. Looky like Paimon took these pictures on our travels. So are you, not to pry too much, but, you know, Spanish from Spain, Spanish from Mexico, Argentina, Bolivia, you know, anywhere but Brazil. I've thought about, you know, I do hablo un poco de español y tengo que usar el idioma en mi trabajo unos pocos días de una semana porque trabaja con una posición con un poco lejos en un personal es computadora personal. No sé no sé demasiado palabras para actualmente trabajar en español porque las personas que emplean yo danme más dinero porque yo puedo hablar español, quote unquote, y I'm not the kind of person who's gonna refuse an extra $1 an hour. Yeah. All I'm gonna say is, as someone from Mexico, what are your thoughts on Xianbom? Because I see a lot of good things coming out, and, you know, the fact that she does, you know, public investment and is willing to, you know, stand up on a global scale and be a fighter in a way that, you know, from what I've seen of her, she seems to basically be AMLO's, you know, more competent and technocratic successor, which, at least personally to me, is sort of the ideal politician. You know, someone who is people-minded, but actually, you know, intelligent and is willing to make policy and say, you know, maybe we need experts. You know, we need experts who are constrained by, you know, a desire to serve the public good, who are ideological in a good way. Okay, as in America? Interesting. The national anthem of Star Wars? Yeah. But just in your personal experience, what has it been like in Mexico, if you're in Mexico? Or just, you know, instead of, you know, for all I know, you might be in America or some other Spanish-speaking country and, you know, speaking Mexican Spanish as someone not in Mexico. I don't know. Been all sorts of places, and while you were busy exploring, Paimon was busy with her camera, taking creepy pictures of us. Here, take a look at these photos Paimon masterfully took. Photo of Mondstadt. Oh, look, it's the photo that basically gets used on the download screen. Okay. Inazuma? Other side of the Renova statue. The craziest thing is the fact that this statue is probably Renova. Oh, yeah. If you don't want to talk politics, I don't blame you, but it was one of the things I studied in college, and this is just a normal picture of Sumeru. And so, some of these at least, wait, are these the reputation pictures? They're similar at least. Definitely Polymer, yeah. By the way, do you remember the 2 photo albums we bought at Damaville Pavere? I do. Of course you do. And that was in 5.0, I believe. Spent all our savings to reserve those albums, even though it was way in advance. Anyway, you took one of the albums and Paimon took the other. That way we'd match. This was a year ago. Paimon's already stuffed her album full of photos, but she's not sure if you've done the same yet. Just in case, Paimon bought a new photo album, and though she was planning on keeping it as a backup, give it to you if yours is full. Do you like taking pictures, Paimon? Looks like Paimon always thinking about others. Hello, Paimon, Savant's best tour guide. She just can't just think of herself. Real question is Paimon Asmodee? A shard of Asmodee? To be fair, I thought she was a piece of Istaroth. It's weirder. Yeah. The one thing more important than saying Donde es el baño es No hablo español. It's like that one Family Guy clip where Brian's on the truck, and he talks to the Mexican guy who responds in perfect English, and then it's revealed that he memorized an oddly specific set of English phrases that aren't even useful except to reply to what Brian asks, and then just goes back to speaking Spanish. If he wasn't just trolling. Yeah, we've seen so many awesome sights during our travels, it'd be a shame if Pamela didn't keep some mementos. More importantly, these are important memories for both of us. Gotta cherish our past memories and our future experiences. That's what Picard told Pamela in wise words, don't you think? Breakdancer guy. Well, that's for multiple people. As of right now, you are the one person here who doesn't. Though, to be fair, mate, I find it hard to say I really speak it sometimes. Pamela's gonna lend you her camera this time so you can take more pictures herself. Also, make sure to pop in tomorrow because doing the new Kirby DLC. About to journey to Sneznai, and Pama's a feeling, and now you call it Sneznai instead of Node Cry. Okay. Things aren't going to be easy from here on out, so let's sort out all the experiences from our journey while we still can. That way, no matter what troubles you run into in Sneznai, as long as we think of the moments we share together, we're sure to be brave and keep moving forward. Hot cat? And not on the Nation of Saurians, we met a pair of peculiar friends, Kinich and Ahau. Human Saurian duo never lets a day pass without bickering back and forth. Even so, they're inseparable companions. Well, I think he's got the Undertale in him. It's that one point in Undertale in Hotland where you get a bunch of hot dogs from Sans, and eventually he runs out and gives you a hot cat. So, Flame of Contention, character must wield the power of Pyro, use an elemental skill in a designated area. Paper Theater, character is from Notland or is the Traveler in designated area. So basically it's kind of Pyro Traveler with Ahau. Paper Theater. When you look back on your journey, this is one of the first scenes that pops into your head. Come snap a picture of it. Yeah, I'm the Asian one. I'm the one people accuse of eating cats. Must equip Paimon's camera and interact with the photo-taking points or characters to enter photo-taking mode. The process is split into an adjustment phase where you determine the position from where the photo was taken, and a photo-taking phase in which you can move and use your skills. We've seen these before. During the adjustment phase, you need to first select your camera position, and then proceed to adjust the position and angle for taking the photo. Every photo-taking point is 3 camera positions, with every position having its own unique aspect ratio. Once you have confirmed your settings, it's time to move on to the photo-taking stage. Well, the thing about other languages is that you can use cognates sometimes, which is to say words that have similar sounds and similar meanings, but they're false cognates. The big one, for example, is that sopa is not soap, it's soup. Soap is habon. What's interesting is that a lot of these words are... more from Latin, because English is this weird bastardization of German and Romance languages that root from Latin. So, habon is like sapon, which is, saponification, for example, because soaps, technically in a chemical sense, they're basically fatty material, well, things you create from fats. And there's a process known as saponification, where after basically, after you die, the fats in your body can basically become kind of soapy. It's called saponification. I'm sorry. And essentially, there are a lot of Latin words that English gets, well, that Romance languages get, that English sometimes gets, but mostly Romance languages do, so they're descended basically from Latin. And then there's also a language called Romanche, which is actually not a Romance language. Wrap that around your head. Wrap your head around that. But also, it's interesting seeing other loan words that aren't Latin in other languages, especially Romance languages. As for example, let me see. I'll go down. Is that? Yeah. Basically, the Spanish word for cotton is algodón, which is, and I looked it up to make sure, but it's actually an Arabic loan word, which the Arabic word alkutin, it's where, you can clearly see that's where we get cotton, but Spanish gets it from alkutin, which is just the cotton, they take it fully. You know, Rick and Keystone all being pretty close to a lot of North African, Maghreb type countries. You know, and they're people of Spanish origin with the surname Almeida, which is literally just Arabic for the table. Which is, yeah, cotton candy. It's, you know, cotton of sugar. And azúcar is it's taken from, you know, sucre, which is sugar in Latin. You know, sucrose in this game. Sugar. During the photo taking phase when using, yeah, exactly, you know, be serious, sucrose. How serious? She turns into a can of sugar cubes, bottle of sugar cubes. Jar, sorry, I forgot the word jar. I need to sleep. Upon one's camera, the angle of the finalized image will be decided by the settings you previously adjusted. Pictures will be taken from the 3 camera positions all at once. People have taken interesting pictures. The camera tracking function is enabled. Each camera will follow your movements or actions within a certain range. And why are you in Samara? Certain photo taking points have an interact button. Perhaps if you press on these photo taking points, you might be greeted by a pleasant surprise. So in that case, you know what? Pyro and Notlan, he can be with his mother. He can bring his mom out. Okay. Pyro, Notlan, and Notlan, the Traveler. It's so funny that there was literally one Pyro character all patch. To be fair, they were kind of oversaturated before. And hey, Kianich, look who's here. We meet again, Traveler. Are you sightseeing? Here to take pictures of the resort. Here to take pictures of you. Awfully forward. Great idea, but don't need a camera for that. Did you bring one along? No, we're going to stare deeply into your eyes until you become uncomfortable. Yeah, well, there's a free standard one each year. The big one, honestly, is free 4-star con. Free 5-star cons with some limitations. The one thing is that, yeah, they really should have changed that. Though, to be fair, it's not as if Bennett is a character who particularly needs any more buffs. But as I was saying, that does mean that Shilonen, Citlali, Malvika, Bennett is technically a full Not-One team, but only lore-wise. That's the buff they should have given. Should have made Bennett even more powerful. This can only be a good thing. I have AY holding a... This is a golden troop set, which will get put on Yai eventually, because she's still using Thunder Soother, because I did not bother to change it from years ago. He is. He is. You can't see it, but he is. These are Bennett's 6 stars. Yeah, if you can see 6 Bennett in 2025 and you haven't, Chi-Chi is highly situational. But there's one situation in which he's pretty much unbeatable, and that is the very, very stupid Cryo-Wyab local legend, which you can literally only fight by healing. Or you can brute force it, but that's basically impossible. The one that's over here. And I used Chi-Chi in theater for that fight, and she pulled her weight. Never again and never since, but she pulled her weight there. No. That's the one thing she's good for, but that's more than can be said for, say, Xinyan, which is sad, but what are you gonna do? Okay, let's run it. Oh, how about it? Shall we start taking some photos? Like while you're ready to get different pose. That's what would you like me to go with? A fun pose. Go, girl, give us nothing. Go, Baron Bunny. Can't even decide something as simple as a pose. Watch closely. Worm. I had worms once. How's this? He's thinking. With a cool pose. All right then. Hand on his hip. Switch to the formal pose. All right then. Arms crossed. His Japanese voice actor is the same as Sasuke, which also makes him the same as Shiro from Fate. Which is part of why I like him as a character. About a bit more. Hot take on hot takes. My hot take is that people should use the redeem more, so I can give more hot takes. To be fair, I give hot takes pretty much every 5 minutes no matter what. But it's nice when people get the chance to choose what I do my hot take on. That's my hot take on hot takes. I like this. You know, what is he thinking about? Nothing. We're ready. Also, I was expecting people to double dip on the Bala redeem, and it just wasn't done. Fix camera mode. What about broken camera mode? Where's my tab? There's my tab. It's not marked on my gaming keyboard. And yeah, let's have her on the motorbike. Let me see. Then let me see. What's a good angle? I actually like having the funny glowy sign in the distance, and it's glowing because we did a bunch of Asha finagling up here. This is a good one. And then no. Let's adjust that preset. Oh, goodness. That sucks. I had to change him. Okay. Fun pose. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me look that up. What I will say is that, just to begin with, the American National Anthem is one of the most difficult to sing, period. It goes way up and down the scale. Ingrid Andress. I had not heard of that. I don't even know who that is. What I will say is that the real hot take as part of that is that I'm personally just not huge on country music. There are individual country songs I get, and to be fair, a lot of it is that pretty much all country music that gets made is just pop country. It's kind of like how almost all music that gets played is incredibly commercialized. I like old blues, old 90s hip-hop, 90s soul. We did some close harmony R&B back when... I need to wait for her to get on the darn motorcycle. Back from the 90s, yeah, Ingrid Andress. I had not heard of that. My dad saw... Now she's on the bike. Thank goodness. Okay, that's a good spot. Let's... it's difficult to get a good angle. It's actually... This is a pretty good angle, honestly. I want to keep these photos. Cool to keepsake. And then... This is good for what it is, actually. I like this. Shame you can't just No, you can reset it. That's good. It's good for what it is, actually. These are good. These are good ones. Let's see what the... Interactive effects. Oh, the llama. The llama. Well, Oh, they're all around. That's cute. This is good. Let's see. I like these. Maybe that could have been a little lower, but I actually like seeing the water there. Oh, no. What the heck? What the heck? I gotta change the time. You're kidding. Okay, well, stupid. You see, this is what happens when I'm sleep deprived from work. Yeah, that doesn't sound very family friendly. That doesn't sound very family friendly. There we go, and let's actually adjust the preset. Turn, and that's there. It's got a nice overhead view. This is good. Like the sunset. Put the animals down, though they expected us going from the other angle, but there are ones where we can see them. That's fine and good. I like this. These are nice pictures. You know what? We can save them. I'm gonna put them in my screenshot folder. I'm never gonna look at these. That's okay. Yeah, But what I'll say is that just to begin with, it's a hard song to sing. Select photo taking point, and there we are. Got another one. Got that there. Hello, paper theater. Flame of contention. Power of pyro, elemental skill in a designated area. When you look back on your journey, this is one of the first scenes that pops in your head. Come snap a picture of it. Yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of the pictures I took. And let me just see this here. And again, that's paper theater. Okay, no, they all have the same description. I'll kill you. Okay, whatever. Then we got a user. Skill. Use that to get her hair lit up. That's nice. And then, no, we clicked the wrong teleport waypoint because I'm sleep deprived from work. Womp womp. Okay. Oh, no, there's no character. It's just Mavika. A lot of people, especially for this one, took some, will I say, interesting photos. This is actually pretty good one. These are good. We'll just stick with Mavika. It's her house. There we go. It's good enough angles. Okay, cool. And then there's nothing to trigger. This, that's nice. I will say that maybe this looks a little funky. The really funny thing would have been to do it while she was spinning on the bike. But this is a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, people were doing some, shall I say, questionable close-ups. This is nice. This is nice. Okay. Yeah. And, okay, no person, just a site. And where should we go? Zhou. The really interesting thing, and again, it's, you know, not to get too discoursey, but it makes me interested in the fact that they put Flintas on back half. I was expecting to put them both on front half, which I would have preferred, even if it would have been maybe a bit of a grind at first, just so I could use them both in first half. No, because it has to be a Pyro Vision or Pyro Element character. They don't mean as in capable of putting out Pyro attacks, unfortunately. But it's just they put at least 4 out of 6 of them are, you know, dudes. You know, some of them are photos alone, but it's just sort of, I do kind of feel like the game's having an identity crisis. I think it's very plain that at least when Not One came out, they invested very heavily in paper games, actually. That they were trying to do some sort of trick to let paper games kind of use that market for the year and sort of go back and maybe try to pick it back up later. I don't know if they're going to try to pick it. They're trying to pick it up back up later, how hard they're committing, but it's just, I guess it depends on how many of the remaining 5-star on reveal are going to be dudes. You know, is it going to be, will they bring back Capitano? Is it going to be Dottore? You know, maybe Pantalone? I don't know. You know, I don't imagine they just drop a random dude on us like they did with Escoffier, but it's, you know, it's hard to think. It's hard to think. You know, you never know what it's going to be. But Shorter Diver Fremine was among the first people we met when we arrived in Fontaine. He's a shy, quiet, but loyal friend. Weeping Well of the Lake. Character must wield the power of Hydro. Character using charge attack or normal attack in designated area. Before using Archons, let me see. Idle animation. Is it going to be Nuve or Fiorina? Honestly, let's let Fiorina do this. She is the Archon for real. Aliens, well, it depends on the circumstances in which aliens evolve. Weeping Well of the Lake, because if aliens evolve in context similar to ours, they would maybe be humanoid. I think one of the things that people don't appreciate enough about Star Wars is the fact that they have a lot of, especially with the prequel trilogy, though really that's more Sebulba, basically. Still mostly humanoid, but they're willing to make a lot of weird aliens. Because in Star Trek, even despite it being more about, you know, humans interact with non-humans, they tended to stick a lot more to, you know, green-skinned, space-babe type aliens. Yeah, to be fair, though, it's Jabba's a villain. It's a lot more interesting and uncommon for them to make clearly non-humanoid and non-human aliens good guys and sympathetic, which is why I respect it a lot. Prepare to photograph. Let's leave a flower there. Well, Jar Jar is humanoid. And also they failed because everyone hates him. Let me see. And, come on, the slime's getting me. I'll kill you. Die. Boom. Yeah, well, it reposted in the wrong neighborhood. It's what it deserves. Okay. Go away. And could I get a better angle? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, do it. Normal tree. And then No. Couldn't really get more of the sky. Can I? Yeah, I can pan it. I can pan it and get more of the sky. I like that. A little bit of Furina and a lot of the sky. Yeah, go ahead, tell Bala. What is she going to do? Call me stupid another time? The ability to threaten is less than she may like. Tree is a good background. It's certainly more interesting than the other options here. Yeah, that's good as is. That's good. Also good, but also, that's a nice zoom. The flower in foreground's nice too. Good one, and we'll put you in Numa mode. It's funny, she's looking away from the flower. I'll keep it. This is a nice one. That's a good pose. I will say, Fav looks nicer to hold as a cane than the pipe, but I am literally saying right now that I wish I had her weapon just for the drip. I need to be killed. Okay, and Summer Sea Sauruses. Characters from Fontainer is a traveler. Characters in idle animation in designated area. He'll be around here in the resort. Snap a picture of it. Yeah, it would be nice to meet aliens, but it would be a lot nicer if they were friendly, as compared to, you know, not. Let's mark these spots because they're going to disappear shortly. I'm going to be doing some exploration soon. I would like to have higher standards than that, quite frankly. And put this here. You know, there's a famous tweet that goes, "Me and my friends would have killed E.T. with hammers, I can tell you that much." Which is cruel, but I will say that E.T. is not really cute. E.T. is an ugly cute. An ugly cute is cute, but it's ugly cute, not cute. If you knew, yeah. Well, I don't know. That could be okay. I can take these off of here. I don't think this is not getting updated anytime soon. I don't need to keep track of this specific border. I think if aliens are friendly, I think they would be happy to meet anyone. Doesn't matter who. There is a Chinese sci-fi book trilogy called The Three-Body Problem about essentially the difficulty of interacting with aliens and, you know, not really being able to necessarily trust them. It's sad to think, I suppose. Oh, if we're here... No, let's use the same characters. Fiorina can be on vacation too, even if Milani would work. Oh, it's you, Traveler. Sorry, didn't realize you were here. Or, you know, astronauts who are kind of scientists, partially. Mostly. This resort is huge and there's barely anyone I recognize. Luckily, I've run into you. What are you up to, Fremine? Escaping. Evil Fatui mission. I'm observing the sea around Nalan. There are aquatic creatures here I've never seen before, like those two over there. So Cahosaurs, those are Nuviet's relatives, well, technically. The Udex, they look so different, I can't believe they're related. Could it be that the same organisms grow differently depending on whether they live in Fontaine or not? Well, technically, all the Saurians, I guess all the dragons are technically related, but in the end, every Notland Saurian is a Pyro Bishop, just adapted. Notland's ecology is so different from Fontaine's. It's truly something special. If only everyone from the house could come here to see it. You could always show them pictures of the resort. I'll help. I don't think that would work all that well. If they eat a lot and aren't particularly smart, they would get killed off by other things on their planet. Pictures, that's a wonderful idea. That way I can record the scenery so I never forget, and we'll get a picture of you while we're at it. Picture of me, really? No. Loser. I'm not turning you down, I'm just not used to standing in front of a camera. Father once told me that I kept hiding myself away, I'd end up worrying those who care about me. Been wanting to kick this bad habit, right since you offered it, it's time to get my picture taken. I don't dislike Paimon. I don't dislike Paimon. Oh, do you have any ideas where I should pose? Let's go with a fun pose. Wait, am I... Let me think. My memory is failing because I'm... Okay, were you the one who saw my Fremine Theater boss clears? Let's see what the fun pose is. Like this? Oh, that's fun. Shy pose is... That's cute. I like the helmet, though. Formal pose. I like this. The penguin's in it. It's a good one. Let's be all formal-like. The requirements for this are... Well, let's see. Personally, my taste is the more of this guy we get, the better. The more of this guy we get, the better. He's fashionable. Like his look. He's very obviously French, you know? It's just, you know, the gayer European from Legally Blonde. Yeah, let's wait till you start bringing out your seahorse. Something like that. It's a good one. Nice. Well, it's time to wait until you do another idol. Yeah, exactly. Let's have her do the cakes one. Show off all the cakes to Fremine and not give him anyway. And then Fremine will just take out the Claymore and, you know, do the Marie Antoinette on her. Frankly, that might be a little grim. Okay. You know, what they really need to do, that's the real quality of life power creep. A button we can do to force... Okay, she's just doing it again. No cruelty. Yeah. It's just, you know, look at my animal friend. My animal friend is cooler than yours. My animal friend is T0 off-field damage. And yours? A robot. Okay. Cool. Good thing my hard drive is big. What if it filled up with pictures of the seahorse? Okay. Got that. Let's pick it. Cool. It's interesting how they have the sample pictures and choosing specific ones. And this is not a pose he does. If he puts on the helmet, he makes a sad face. Though we've been traveling so long, our knowledge of flora and fauna still pales in comparison to Tianari, Forest Ranger of Samara. If you're looking to learn anything about the natural world, consulting Tianari is a great place to start. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what cons they add. It's really funny that they excluded Yelan, Alhaitham, and Kaze despite them meeting the standards, because Kaze and Yelan's early cons are good, and then just Alhaitham, well, Alhaitham C1 is his best con, probably, but none of his cons are really good. You know, C6 is strong, because all C6s are strong, but it's nothing all that special. Though I suppose it would be, just because Alhaitham is good. They don't want to make him any stronger for free, but Sun and its Blossoms... Yelan's C1 and Kaze's C1 decrease their energy requirements pretty significantly, and that's big. Well, it must be a bow or the traveler is present in designated area. Power of Dendro. Character satisfies both in some way. I guess we could have two Tianaris, but honestly, I guess we could just put Collei in. You know, student-teacher pick. That's fine. Sun and its Blossoms. And he's right here. What are you doing? Okay. Though to be fair, it's doing the same picture with everyone beforehand. It's hard to say. Because I could have done it. Well, if it's not Lan and not Lan, it kind of would have had to be Malvika if I'm trying to meet the criteria. It's nice choosing characters. It's also nice that they let you take the picture, even if you're not satisfying the requirement, if you just want to use the multi-angle. Wonder if they'll... Probably not. Well, I don't know. They'll save it for later. Multi-angle just as something for future use. But sure, Collei gets her vacation. Collei gets her... Nah, I don't know. Because if Milani was meant to be there, you know what? Chaska with... Chaska bow. Show off the Chaska bow. I don't care anymore. We can go back and take other pictures. And Malvika just gets 2 sets of pictures because she's spoiled. Malvika. Hey there, Traveler. Seems like this sea of flowers caught your eye as well. I'm here to take pictures of you. Get ready. You are, huh? I guess it's been a long time since I saw each other. Hear me out. These flowers have developed some pretty miraculous traits. You'll see what I mean when you touch them. think we should try to include these traits in our photos. This flower is short and gorgeous. It's almost like they've been enchanted. Might seem a little weird for me to say, but trust me, the natural world can produce marvels that are just as wondrous as magic. Biologist is talking. Whenever I encounter such wonders, I just want to snap a picture right away. But I already got Ganyu C1 and Hutao C1, which are actually pretty decent cons, especially Hutao C1. Probably the best C1 there, just on the merits, other than, well, standard cons suck too. But I'm probably going to go for probably Nilu now and then get Shenhe next time, because it is 4 per year, which is great. But big thing is, Nilu C1 is the gateway to C2, which I guess I might want to get eventually. But it also just means full uptime under Hydro Up off field, which is actually quite good. In a sense, I suppose that lines up with your way of thinking as well. It's time for a picture of Tionari. Fantastic, this is the perfect spot to take one. Should I pose for this picture? Do you have any suggestions? Fun pose, will this work? The bomb! Formal, cool. Fun pose. Formal pose. I'm ready. I didn't mean to do that. Let's try that again. But it's Dendro is wrecked. Bo is going to be the other one, and where is that going to be? Bo character, well, its resort is here. Let's run to here then. Sure. Cool. Archon takes the photo in their nation. Some other character takes the photo here. So everyone's got one in not one in one of their nation. Of course, Mavic is from not one, so. Different pose. Fun pose. Grenade. Cool pose. That's cute. Formal pose. Go-Girl will give us nothing. I like it when they hold stuff. And I like that this is an explosive. And it could hurt people if it went off accidentally. Okay. And let's do it up close. Have them look at the bomb. Up close. Looking at the bomb. Up close. Looking at the bomb. From the other side. Okay, cool. And a bow or the travelers. Wait, so. Yeah, we can put Shaska in because it's, yeah. Not that nation. We can take another one with Milani. You know what? The gal with the gun could look at the guy with the bomb. They can share tips on explosive ordnance. Something like that. Something like that. Let's do it. And oh, this is funnier. Yeah, get a load of a real weapon. Oh, you can't see him! Okay, this is funny. This is funny. Just see his ears. See his ornament. Oh my goodness. Brutal mogging. This is tragic. Okay. So now we got the picture. Oh, we got a cute little fungus. I love it. Got Ahau, pears, the fungus. Yeah, it's just they try to put in a little companion or an ornament and just Tina. I guess they could put in Tinari's bomb. That could work. Power Dendro and designated area. And there we are. This is the one by the Varanastra. We got this permanently set to. That's the trick. Ah, that's how it's going. They want to do it so that you see it while it's going off. Yeah, this is fun. I like photo events. I really do. I want to do it while it's actively blasting. So anyway, I started blasting. Oh, but it's over this way. Come on, run for it and don't get stuck. I cleared out this area a long time ago. About 2 years ago. First up, Bubba. Oh, look. Wait. Yeah, right now she has the... No, she's got Widsith. This is fine. Okay, cool. Let's pull you up with just balloons. That's fine. Anyway, I started blooming. See ya! Nilu gameplay preview. I did find it interesting how in one of the early Sumeru patches, I think it was 3.0 just because the way the timeline lined up, they tested a camera aiming mechanic similar to Nahita's Hold E in an event, the Phase Trials event. They brought it back a few times, but it was clearly meant to be a Nahita test. Okay. Nahir. I like this. She's facing a bit of a different way. It's got in the background, you know. It's a whole... I did this. Oh, we gotta have the swing set. Gotta have the swing set. And then... This is cute, even if it doesn't have the Varanastra. This is even better. Yeah, cool guys never look at the Varanastra. Okay. This is especially nice because of how long she can stay on it. Okay. You have to have a hardened and blackened heart to not love and appreciate Radish. Should be... It's at midnight, right? I think. It's at 1 a.m. I remember when people were using... Can use other characters to push Nahida on the swing and actually send her flying. Okay. Let me just see. The Varanastra is at what time of day? There we are. We got it. We got it. Run it. 1 a.m. Let's see a bit of water there. Swinging. Swinging. I have various biases that cause me to say this. In particular, it's because it was senior year of college. But I have a lot of love and nostalgia for Sumeru. Especially since it... No... Let's do it again with Milani. More pictures. Why not? Sumeru still had the most complicated and difficult, and I mean that in the best way possible, exploration in the game. Nothing has matched it before or since. Inazuma had the hardest puzzles, and they casualized that. What I'll say is the fact that they're focusing in on the more dedicated audience, I hope they bring Inazuma puzzles back. Inazuma had actual hard puzzles. The rocks on Seirai, I had to work those out on paper. They had, though it was made easier because some of it was completed, they had a magic square puzzle in Watatsumi right here. And that, I miss that. I miss that. That was incredible. And then Sumeru, the puzzles got easier, but they introduced a real underground for the first time after doing a bit of it in Inazuma. Some of the caves, this cavern, with the extra perpetual array down here, I worked this thing out over the course of months. You know, just, the coolest thing was how the water level here, in this cave, is connected to the water level in this part, the cave you access from here, and I didn't know that until I got to the bottom. If it gets that hard, you can just hit it randomly enough, and, you know, like a monkey with a typewriter, eventually it will work. But it's... I will say, in the long run, I miss the game being popular for a number of reasons, but... Okay, this is fun. He can be scared of the pufferfish swimsuit. Okay. Come on. Let's see. Fun. Just like that. Camera time. I hope they bring back hard exploration. I hope they bring back hard puzzles. That would make me very happy. Nice one. Nice one. Scared of Milani. I would be too. Okay. Okay, this is funnier. Scared of the dance. Actually, I missed my chance. It's just that little Simpsons clip where, you know, the guy is hiding the corners away from the dancing women. That's from it right now. Well, I gotta wait. Annoying. Asha noises. So Toyama Nao, who is Milani's Japanese voice actress, voices a number of other characters, and, you know, don't kill me for saying this, but in Fate, we got the dance again. He's afraid. He's afraid of the dancing woman. She's Ibaraki Doji, who's an Oni. She's Suzuka Gozen, who's basically this Wait, oh, we failed. That's okay. I don't really care. Okay. Wait. What? So, oh, it has to be from Fontaine, or is it... Whatever. It's a Milani picture. Okay, whatever. I just wanted more pictures. That's fine. This is her area of the resort anyway. Let's out of here. Well, we could do it with Nuve and take more pictures. You can be afraid of Nuve drinking water. Okay, cool. Be afraid of Nuve, and her voice as Ibaraki is nothing like Milani's. But her voice as Suzuka Gozen is almost a dead ringer. And that was years before Milani ever came out. It's always interesting doing voice comparisons. In particular, be afraid of the water. Afraid of water. Well, we'll diver boy afraid of man drinking water. Okay. And in Paimon's words, Yomiya's passion erupts like a volcano. However, the comparison might confuse her, as the Inazuma native knows little about volcanoes. Remember to send Gumi a volcano picture postcard at some point. Charge attack or normal attack or wrath of the earth. Amakane, Inazuma, or is the traveler? I was gonna say let's use Varasa, and it makes a lot of sense here then. Okay. Nice. It's her territory. Guess we could try using... Oh, goodness. Autopan. Not a lot of them had any kind of special bonus, or maybe I'm probably just missing them because I'm sleep deprived. But I appreciate Yoimiya. Her constellations suck, but I appreciate her. Okay. Using... Let me see. Volcano, Varasa. In terms of the angular rotation. Yeah, we won't be facing the volcano for it to look like that. That's fine. Corrin in the background. Let's see. None of these are especially good, so let's get a good view of the stars. That's always a good choice. Okay. And then, these are fine. You got a bit of the People of the Springs, though. Let's raise it up a little then. Cool. Charge attack or normal attack. We'll face the volcano to get everything lined up like I'd like. That, maybe I don't want that. Maybe I don't want that. Now that's the trick. She's jumping. I don't think that's what they expected, but hey, it's funny. Say what you will about Varasa, but her gameplay is some of the most fun I've seen. Big thing is, of course, okay, it doesn't seem like the others have presets. Well, bonuses other than that one picture with Kinich. Let me try that just to make absolutely sure and actually pay attention this time, but disabled, I'll kill you. Okay. Just because of the fact that you have to rapidly change, which, you know, it isn't real fighting game combo stuff, but you're switching between normal attacks, your E, and then the plunge, sometimes weaving in Qs. It takes some thought, and I do appreciate that. It's not crazy. It's not anything too ridiculous, but it requires some level of effort, some level of mechanical dexterity. I guess the closest thing you'd really get to that beforehand would be the fact that to play Klee optimally, you gotta weave in normals, charge attacks, E's, burst. But that... It's an open question of how much of that is intentional. Because, you know, Klee's just not good. You have to do all that for, you know, the damage of basically a normal vaporized D-Luke, which isn't even all that good, especially since the best way to play him now is abuse his strong plunge multipliers to just run him his melt plunge DPS with Sean Yun and Bennett Citalali. which is fun. That's actually, it's a fun playstyle. But, you know, running Kui is going to be worse than just doing him with Xing Chao, Yelan, Zhongli, or whatever for a normal, vaporizing his normals and some skills, which is... oh, and right, they've met. That's right. Okay, whatever. Just try it again, and yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing. Okay. Yeah, it was literal. No, there is something here, and that's... that's what that was. Let's retake. Let's just do it normal with Chaska. Let's have Chaska just normally look at the bomb. Cool. And that was the what? No, no, no. We didn't switch. I'm sorry. I gotta do it again. Okay. Cool. That's pretty enough. It wasn't the right time because I'm a doofus. I'm a dimbus. A dumby. Okay. Okay, it seems to just be the ones with the characters. And I am simply too sleep deprived. I had to speak Spanish today at work. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Well, that's fun. Yeah, you can't really see it, but these are our serious pictures. That's okay. Yeah, but it's nice that even if it... What are you looking at? Even if you cannot make it work with... Oh, goodness me. Goodness moi. The requirements, you can still take the pictures at the spots, use a nice camera angle, have the character in it. Okay, let me see, let me see. Is there anything here that would make you scared of Nuve or something? Sure, why not? Try and fun pose again, be afraid, be afraid. Be very afraid. Okay. Yeah, and here it's... Ah, Kaholasaur's jumping, so that's actually a good reason to use Nuve, I suppose. Because it's his relatives, and they mentioned him. Why am I putting so much thought and effort into this photo mode? Okay, whatever. Okay, let's do it again. Once you pull out your glass of water. It'd be really cool if you made it rain. Okay. Come on, do something. Yeah! Never mind. Keep taking photos. Raining. That's fun. You only got one of them with him in it, but... See some of the rain. It's a little tougher to see than I might like, but... Maybe I would have liked one they weren't just showing their bellies, but you take what you can get. I've already taken a bunch of ones here. Okay. Why so much? Okay. Oh, so that's the volcano picture we took for... Interesting. So one of a character, one of a location from a nation. Kane Fireworks. Well, to be fair, it's Nalan, Fontaine, Sumeru double dipping in Nalan because Inazuma's 4 years ago at this point and we don't care. Sad, really. Amakane Fireworks, Inazuma oars the trip in the designated area. Cub Snap, I peeked her of it, and so she is over on the island. Thinking of... Do we put in Ayaka? Do we put in Toma? I don't know. I don't know. The Pokemon Audino. The Pokemon character Ayano. It is very, very funny, because in Japanese, if you're familiar, the character Ayano is... Her name is Nanjamo, which basically means... That means... Okay. It basically means... It's a corruption basically saying, what is that? And... The Pokemon Audino, its Japanese name is Tabune, which basically... It's a pun on Tabune, which basically means... Perhaps, essentially. And, you know, Bune, like bunny, because it's a bunny. So there's no connection whatsoever in the Japanese. But since they changed the joke in the English for both, coincidentally made it the same. And of course it's It's a normal type Pokemon, so there's nothing in common, because she's electric type gym leader anyway. Don't think Anno is even in Scarlet and Violet, which I didn't play, because I was waiting for them to patch it. I could play Scarlet and Violet now, because it's, after all, they did improve its performance on Switch 2, which I have. The console with which I will play Kirby DLC tomorrow, which will take basically 4 or 5 hours. Hey, a traveler, just thinking about you. Been ages since I last saw you. There's so much we got to chat about. All I'm gonna say is, if they had to give, make a government-mandated GF character for the reason, all I'm gonna say is they really screwed up choosing Ayaka, boring Ayaka instead of Yoimiya. That's what I'm saying. Not that it actually matters or means anything. Father made a batch of new fireworks yesterday and I helped him out. The clients were a couple of newlyweds. Told my father he used all sorts of vibrant colors in the formula. He was hoping that explosion of colors would become a part of their wonderful memories together. When you know it, saw you drop by yesterday, we even ended up chatting about you. So much has happened while you've been away. There's so much you need to catch up on. It's a shame that Inazuma is literally just a bunch of islands and there's nowhere to actually add new regions to. Oops, they screwed up. So, we can get Dornman Port, we can get Blackcliff Forge, we can get the funny coastline on Samara with sea monsters, we can get Mount Asus in Fontaine, we can get the Mara Javari in Notla. And there's not a single thing they could add to Inazuma if they wanted to. Been a while, Yomi, you could say so. Enough about me, I didn't even say a proper hello or ask what you're doing out there. Sure has, and what a coincidence running you here. Well, it must be on my side. Is there anything special going on here today? Quest to take pictures of lovely scenery, bumped you on the quest found lovely Yomi and to take some pictures on there. That is a bit forward. Sure, why not? They can make Navia cry. They can't make Yoimiya blush. Their budget is clearly going all in the wrong places. Oh, really? She says it, and she even says it, doesn't actually do it. Take some pictures together. Wait, I got an idea. Just so happened I brought some new fireworks with me. Just got the camera ready. We can set these off. That way I'll make for an even more momentous memento. Picture of you while we're here. I'll submit a picture with fireworks going off in the background. The best kind of picture there is. While we think, how should I pose for the picture? Let's go with a fun pose. That's fun. Cool pose. All right, then. Formal pose. I know it's Yoimiya, but this is honestly too silly. What if I stand there and get lit on fire? You know what? Why not? Have Ayaka get set on fire. I'm ready. She can accept it. Understand her own inferiority. Okay. Me when I set Ayaka on fire. Yeah, you get what you freaking deserve. Okay. If we time things right, we could have her basically extend her hand and touch the sparkler and get burnt. This is excessive. I do not need to be doing this kind of Ayaka abuse. Ayaka abuse. Okay. Cool. These are good. All we gotta do, move her a little forward. It needs to be nighttime or evening. Okay. Our funny photo album. It's cool how Seirai, the island in the middle, actually changes its shape and size when you do its quests. Inazuma was really where they kind of finalized the design of the game in a lot of ways. One of the big ways is in just adding changes to the world effectuated through world quests. Because every time since, they've got big things floating in there. They had the upper half of the pyramid, they had the harvest token tree, and of course the rift before you fix it. The Tower of Ipsissimus, kind of, though it's not floating. The Lake Weeping Willow is kind of floating. Oh, well, of course the big cubes, that's the big one, but honestly it's the tower that was most interesting. And then of course you sink it to the bottom of the ocean. And then of course, because they couldn't get enough of themselves, they added floating islands here, big floating space elevator here. And that's the fun thing. If you go into the lore and do the quests, the Tonatia is actually, it's oriented wrong. It's got this big ring that's sort of, if you hold your hand up, look through it like a telescope, that's kind of what it is. It's a ring balanced on its side. But it's actually a ring that's meant to sort of have its open face go to the ground into the sky. It's a ring for a space elevator to basically take carriages up to the moons. That's what Kukulkan says in the world quest here. That's what's really interesting. I will say, it's definitely a bit of whiplash for them to be doing more sci-fi stuff and more modern stuff in the game after the initial presentation is fantasy, but with Barbara having a plastic cup, the Fatui being Fatui, and just, you know, the fact that internally the game is literally in the files known as Honkai 4, well, anyone paying attention should have known. The game was sci-fi pretending to be fantasy. You know, and again, Genshin players can't read, but... Okay, come on, Ayaka, reach out, touch the sparkler, hurt your hand. Oh, we timed it wrong. We timed it wrong. Yeah. Yeah. Do it again. Do it again. Okay, but we're actually at a tiny bit forward. This is perfect. I'm gonna touch the sparkler. Touch the sparkler. Ayaka's never done anything wrong to me. Why am I this mean? I wasn't even abused as a child. Okay. No that. Whatever. See some of them, maybe. Come on. It's the other one. The other one. Just spam the fireworks until... Okay. See a little pinch of it. Soon as you go for the sword idol. As soon as you go for the sword idol, you see your hand move towards the sparkler. Okay, great. This is great. I'm so mean. Touch the sparkle or burn your hand. Well, that angle's different. You know, we've taken a lot of cute, nice, fun pictures. It's time to display wanton cruelty towards the denizens of Teyvat. Shia still keeps his vows to this day, vanquishing evil in the name of Liwei. Sometimes it appears that he visits friends of old bearing mementos. Mingzhou Temple blessings. Oh, the Pervasi's Temple. That's kind of sad. Assembly of feathers. Character must wield the power of animo, use an elemental skill in the designated area. And that's... Why is he here? Or is he... No, he's at the Pervasi's Temple. Snap a picture of it, and... Animo from... We can go for Aoife. We took a picture with Chaska already. We can use Aoife here. That's fine. That's okay. And now. Come on. But well, technically that should have been the Raiden picture, but no one cares about Raiden anymore. It's sad, but it wouldn't have really made sense for Raiden to be there anyway. Honestly. So instead we get... I didn't mean to do that. I'm stupid. Whatever, go away. Sorry, Pyro Wyob. Someone else will have to kill you. It won't be me. Oh, cool. And it's 10 seconds of infinite phlogiston. Then we can refresh our Night Soul. Actually, you know what? Let's go down and grab this. I could have plunged, but that... I would prefer not to have to bother with that level of precision right now. Let's run it. So, pretty pictures. Pretty pictures. I like this. I want us to be facing away, facing towards Oshkanavan. These are good presets, though, to be fair. I'd like to maybe move a bit more. Can we get... No, you can't see the Tenatia because of the cloud, of course. Whatever. It's just the wide angle one. I like that nice and high. And now, let's face it. Let's use Kukuku and get close to the... Oh, there's a time limit. If we want to get him close enough to the ground to be... Not too high as to not see the ground at all. Me too. Very fun character. A lot of people, myself included, thought, and of course it didn't turn out to be the case, that since Aoife had a animal companion like Kinichin and like Auron, that he was going to be 5-star, and then he wasn't, because they were still trying to get their fans to play Love in Deep Space instead. We were too slow. Oops. Okay. Yeah, but really it's just a sort of because Hoyo invested in paper games, which makes Nikki and Love in Deep Space a little while ago. And what makes you wonder is, this is a decent one. This is decent. I like these. Night Soul Glow is a little garish, but that's okay. That's okay. I guess we could have taken off and then dropped. No, this is fine. It's characteristic. Basically, I think, and this is me being conspiratorial, because I'm conspiratorial about everything, that they were probably... So this can be Zhongli and Zhao. Dad and son. Trying to sort of deliberately drive a certain portion of their audience towards those games to make the money they loaned paper games back. But again, the question is, especially since LIDS and Infinity Nikki are squeezing their player base right now to a hilariously awful extent. You know, there were some banner controversies for Love in Deep Space I read about, and also with Nikki. Sort of, you know, Paper Games has put out many games. Many paper games. And many video games. They're all video games. And basically, every single time they've been canonized at first and then gotten comically exploitative after just a year. And there's Starcatcher. Star Snatcher, I mean. It's you, long time no see. I was just preparing to release some Shao Lanterns. Care to join me? Sure. So is the special effect of the lanterns. Not gonna ask why I'm here. Wait, did you know I was coming here? Yes, because he's our stalker. I didn't know, but I can sense your scent. That's actually creepier. You walk in a good way. No, I didn't say that. Carefree stride, you're holding a camera. It's obvious that you came here to take pictures. This temple sits between mountains and rivers. It's a tranquil place. Sometimes visitors come here to paint, and sometimes I see the younger ones bring their cameras with them. It just so happens that nobody else is here today, so don't worry about others disturbing your photography session. I'd like to take a picture of you, Zhao. We don't even have a choice except to flirt with me. You can keep it as a memento of you releasing your Zhao lanterns. I just came to release them, never considered keeping mementos. Be that as it may, I think it's a good idea. We'll do as you suggest. Your opinion, how should I hold myself in this photo? Fun pose? That's this. Cool, maybe too cool, honestly. Cool pose instead, alright then. Go girl, give us nothing in a good way. Switch to the formal pose, alright then. I think there's some charm in having him do literally nothing. Just stand there. Just stand. Okay, camera. I'm ready. You know, there are some similarities between Zhao and SpongeBob. There are no similarities between Zhao and SpongeBob. I want to get a picture with Wang Pingan in the background. I even remembered his name. Back years ago when I was not busy enough that I could still actively form long-term memories. It's cute. This is good, yeah. Good and all. Get nice and close, and the time is right. Wrap my arms around you. Everything, and by everything I mean nothing. In a good way. Lanterns! How pretty. Let's see, let's check a good height. I would say as high as possible before they outright disappear. I just think... That's good. High as they get before they disappear. Oh, they're looking. Oh, and I wasn't even thinking, but... Yep, we got you in the background. Cute. Mr. If they ever put out 3-star characters, Starcatcher would be candidate number 1, honestly. Final one, and it's... Kaya! Yes! I'm sorry. As we prepare to set out for the Snowlands, we ran into our old friend Kaya once more. Adventure continues and New Horizons await our So it's 5 out of 6 for dudes. Really, it's just... What are they... Are they trying to set... What kind of sign are they trying to set? And is it... Again, it's... What I will say, honestly, is that... I think... And I'm not going to say how accurate I think this is, because again, I don't know. And it's a sensitive topic, but it's... They very clearly operate under the impression... It's why, you know, the government mandated Yaoi this year of Aoife and Oro, neither of them were 5 stars. Essentially that, you know, the engagement that portion of the fan base has with that game, Mihoyo almost certainly thinks, and again, tell me whether you think this is you can say whether you think it's accurate, you can say whether you think it's not, or you can say nothing. I don't know myself. They think that basically they're in it for merchandise and the fan community and fan art, and that the character's strength, rarity, and even really involvement in the game doesn't matter as much. And to be fair, whatever. What I'll say is that I am abnormal in that I play for an audience sometimes, and that I personally am weird in that I'm a guy who prefers playing as dudes in most cases, even in, anime-style games where the characters are meant to be attractive. For various reasons. But it's, I understand that I am fundamentally a weird portion of the audience whose preferences don't reflect most of other viewers' preferences. Which means I would prefer they add more 5 stars. Frankly, if they did the opposite ratio and it was 2-1 in guys' favor, I would probably prefer that for a number of reasons. That's never going to happen for a number of reasons. And I will be the first to admit that I'm kind of weird. And in a number of ways with my preferences. But I think they could put out more dudes. I think they could give them more focus in the story. But even if they're trying to appeal to that portion of the audience, I don't think that necessarily means they put out more dude 5 stars. I think there's a chance that Varka ends up on standard, for better or worse. Say what you will. But I don't know. It's, honest to goodness, it's hard to say. I think for what it's worth, and I think that they've gotten a little better about it. I think it's not one has a good character relation dynamic, but it was really just in the IFA event. The Archon quests were a bit more boring with dynamics, frankly. And the Tribal Chronicles sucked. Archon quest was decent, Tribal Chronicles sucked. The IFA event was great. The end scene where everyone showed up together and had their dynamics with each other, the fact that they actually got to fight for real and have arguments, that alone made them interesting. More interesting in a way other nations' casts didn't. Either they're friends or they don't know each other. Sometimes they hate each other. But aside from, Kai and Diluc, you don't get a lot of interesting disputes. It's the fact that Shilinen hates Malvika as a client, even if she likes her as a friend, and maybe more if you care about that kind of thing, and want to fight on Twitter about Yuri, it makes them one of the more interesting character dynamics in the game, which, to be fair, something pigeon chess, but it is what it is. Toasted Windy Lands, and of course, they're making you use Diluc. Okay. Back on your journey, first scenes that pops in your hand, snap a picture of it, and obviously Kai is here to drink alcohol. What do you know? And okay. See that here. This was where Malvika and Venti were. Nice. Let's switch that. Come on, Diluc. And does Diluc have... Diluc should have... Maybe Wolf's Gravestone right now because it sucks and nobody else uses it except Varka in a cutscene. It'd be really funny if somehow they made Varka's kit work in a way that... And of course he has the cardboard sword. Yeah. If they made Varka's kit work in a way somehow that specifically made Wolf's Gravestone his best in slot, I don't think they could do it. Because as a weapon, it kind of sucks, honestly. What I thought they could do with Varka, though apparently he's just going to be End of a Claymore, is that if I were in charge, I would have made him a totally elementless physical character. But the way he would make up for it would be by being able to actually equip 2 weapons and get the base attack and bonuses from both. Which, 1, that would be a nightmare to balance. 2, they probably couldn't even do it with the game's spaghetti code. But if I were in charge, I would do that. Especially since... in the lore of the Fav Greatsword, they specifically mentioned that Arundel wielded a longsword and a greatsword together, which as a weapon style, combat style, there's only one thing I can think of that might be referencing, and that's in the DLC, one of the 3 DLC expansions of Dark Souls 2, which is the best Dark Souls game, by the way. Sorry. There's a boss called the Fume Knight. Coolest boss in the game. One of the best in the series. He's this funky knight. Peers after condensing from smoke. Looks a lot like Capitano, actually. And he probably inspired Capitano. Well, Capitano is based on the Lich King from Warcraft. But you've played DS2? God bless you. God bless you. Why do you think it's the best? I want to hear your verdict. Well, what kind of build did you use? What kind of build did you use for DS2? What kind of build did you use for DS2? Tell me. I want to hear it. Because the reason I like DS2 the best, among other things, 1, It was the most unique in setting. Really, it's all the Dark Souls games are good. All the Souls games are good. Honestly, don't shoot me. My least favorite is Elden Ring. Elden Ring's great, but it's my least favorite. Because what I'll say is that I don't necessarily like George R. R. Martin's contribution to the setting. I think it's good, but I think I also liked... It's always easy to be what could have been. Have you seen the... Oh, yeah. I did it. I did the DLC. I 100%ed it, more or less. I missed the Torch and Midra's Manson, the DLC. That's the one thing I missed. And also rare drop weapons from, like wandering nobles, but that's stupid and nothing. But yeah, I did. Thank you. I need to get fired from my job so I can go back and actually do Night Rain. Maybe one day I could do Night Rain with followers if there were enough people. Yeah, I like to say I have pretty good game taste. I like action RPGs. What I really need to do, I gotta do what Vadi did. I gotta play through all of Armored Core starting with the first game. What I'll say is someone who loves Souls, played every Souls except for Demon Souls Remake, because I emulated it on PC. It was more fun that way, though to be fair, I wasn't using cheats, I was using functionality of the fan server that allowed me to manually adjust world tendency so I could 100% the game in 2 days, because it was right before DLC came out. I was expecting the base game to actually change in ways other than letting you use Torrent and Elden Beast fight when Shadow of the Erdtree came out, so I was waiting to start my stream playthrough until Shadow of the Erdtree came out, and then it didn't, and then I had egg on my face. I have complicated feelings towards Shadow of the Erdtree, but I did enjoy it. Favorite NPC in Elden Ring? I'm just gonna be factual right out of the gate. Mine's Ansbach. Mine's Ansbach by far. I think they might have tried a little too hard to make him cool and reasonable, but in the process they made him cool and reasonable. They tried hard at a good thing. You can see, okay, this is what they were trying to do, but I accepted it. I like their work. But the reason I like Dark Souls 2 the best, among a lot of other things, is that I played through every Souls game with a really dumb gimmick build, which was leveling every single stat evenly. I could never let a single stat get more than 2 above another. And what that meant is that normally I was playing spell sword builds. In Dark Souls games, it meant I used a lot of pyromancy. In Dark Souls 1, it meant specifically I used a lot of non-scaling catalysts. They didn't really do that after Dark Souls 1, so in Dark Souls 2, that's where the build was best. Because they had more stats, they had you level ADP, and I was leveling everything, so I didn't have to think about how much ADP I wanted to level. I just leveled adaptability, like every other stat. But the big thing, the one thing that Dark Souls 2 did, that no other Souls game did, depending on your build, I'm not sure whether you're really engaged with it. It was weapon infusions, weapon buffs work differently in Dark Souls 2 than every other Souls game. And the difference is, in every other Souls game, it's just a flat addition onto the weapon. And which means the faster your weapon is, the better you want to use it. And also, they all suck in Elden Ring because they're all weak. There's nothing like crystal magic weapon that's a stronger weapon buff. They all suck. And even the greases kind of suck. To the point that Blood Flame Blade, even though it's a weaker multiplier than even all the others, still gets stronger than the greases pretty decently quickly. Even when it's deliberately a weaker weapon buff because of the bleed app. It's so ridiculous. But, what I will say is, in Dark Souls 2, instead it's percentile. There is a bit of flat damage, but mostly it's a percentile amount based on your scaling for the element, based on, your stats, which for fire example, that's intelligence and intelligence and faith. I'm D&D brained. I said wisdom instead of faith. But as I was saying, since I was leveling every stat evenly, that lent itself really, really well to a triple dip pyromancy build where basically I took, whatever Black Knight weapon or inherent fire weapon, I'm calling it pyro now, I'm Genshin brained. Fire damage weapon I could at the time, because also the game had more split damage weapons, inherent split damage. Also gave you the ability that you couldn't do in most other games, aside from a handful of weapons like Drakeblood Sword and 3, or Clayman's Harpoon. Again, joke writes itself. And This is actually one thing I liked about Elden Ring, and part of why it's Dark Souls 2 too. You know, which either means the real Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 4, depending on how you do the multiplication or addition. And that DLC added more weapons that you can infuse despite them having inherent elemental damage, like Black Iron, Great Hammer, Twin Blade. I used a good amount of Black Iron, Great Hammer, tried to use it with the Deflect build. If you haven't, try Commander Gaius with a Deflect tier-based full holy damage Black Iron, Great Hammer, and just melt him. It kills him so fast, and it's so fun. But of course, if you use skill to do the Deflect, which makes it like Sekiro. I need to go back and do a second playthrough of Sekiro so I can do the short route, because I just did True Route. Yeah, it's so good. But other one, and of course, you know, Fire Knight weapons. Got a good amount of use of Fire Knight Great Sword. Not really Quillen's, but mostly Fire Knight, which I did about grinding to drop. It's just the fact that you can do strong, you know, anytime you can use heavy weapons in conjunction with elemental damage, I love it. Near the end of my Dark Souls 2 playthrough was basically I was either using a Fire Infusion Black Knight Sword or Black Knight Greatsword, well, Black Knight Greatsword or Black Knight Ultra Greatsword, because in Dark Souls 1, and that's something I kind of miss, is that in Dark Souls 1 and 3, it was the Black Knight Sword was a Greatsword. The Black Knight Greatsword was an Ultra Greatsword, because they are weapons wielded by giant gods. You're wielding their sword as a greatsword because it's too big for you. You're wielding their greatsword as an ultra greatsword because it's too big for you. And in Dark Souls 2, they made the wording clearer. You know, the name of the weapon is just the weapon type. But there was something fun in the sort of lore of the weapon name itself that I missed. But it was either Black Knight Ultra Greatsword, well, eventually, for a while, I had to use Greatsword, and then Crypt Blacksword, because, of course, you know, the really funny thing is that I didn't know how Lucatiel's questline worked, so I had to use Bonfire Resetic to respawn the Ronin a couple of times, so I didn't fail it. Because to do her questline, you have to have her survive 3 boss fights with you, and I missed the summons, because I was not entirely sure on how the summons worked with humanity in Dark Souls 2 is ridiculous. It's a very fun game. I'm glad that Tanimura got brought back to do Elden Ring, but Elden Ring, it was recusants. Bloody Fingers were so obviously going to be Covenants. That just never ended up happening because the game's huge. But Covenants as well, though to be fair, Covenants were actually meant to be more along the lines of, they would unlock Spirit Ashes originally. They might not have been Covenants like in other Souls games, but at least they unlock Spirit Ashes. This is known through data mining by a guy named Sekiro Dubi. God bless Souls data miners. But also a big thing was Covenant. Oh, goodness. Mountaintops of the Giants is unfinished. I like the area. It's interesting, but it's unfinished. There was originally going to be a way to get to Mountaintops from Deeproot, and maybe if not skip Landell, at least get to Mountaintops before Landell, which would have been interesting. When I did my Equal Stats playthrough on stream, I did literally as much as I could before Landell, except killing Rykard, because of course you have to get to Mountaintops to finish Recusant's questline. But I did everything else I could, you know, getting right before Rykard and doing everything else, running questline, Fortisac, so on and so forth, before doing Lindell, which meant Morgott was basically 3 Bloodhounds finesse attacks to death, but, you know, that's kind of fun, because I did a playthrough myself, just as a pure mage build, leveling only intelligence, which meant I was a total glass cannon. Made the final fight real hard, had to go back and get more spells every now and then, had to get Terra Magica, Sword Spiral, so on and so forth, which meant doing the Sorceress Selin questline when, you know, I was just going through trying to beat everything as fast as I can. Every now and then think, I don't have the power. I need to go back and do another spell, which is very different from my, you know, Equal Stats 100%, where I just did everything, got everything. And it was just a matter of, okay, cool. Do I use Giant Crusher Lion's Fang to prevent the enemy from doing anything, or do I try to allowing it to put up an actual fight? Hey there, Honorary Knight. Who'd have thought our long-awaited reunion would be at this resort, busy as ever, I assume? Get back to the game. Here to take pictures, resort here, relax, and take pictures. They don't let us flirt with Kai because it would be too dangerous. Pictures, that's a vacation staple for sure. It took me ages to get in and out, and I still haven't had the chance to take a good look around. So I finish my drink, I'll look for some picture-worthy spots we can go together. Yeah, we shall go together. Now that sounds like fun, I must say. This outdoor bar has exquisite taste in furniture. Might as well take a picture while we're here. Okay. My question is, which of the Elden Ring demigods do you like best? Or which ones would you say you like? I'm gonna say, you know, in the meme format, a true Radon fan never speaks down about Melania. Thank you. I'm glad. All I can do is talk for hours. A true Radon fan never speaks badly about Melania. It's spacious and comfortable, perfect for enjoying the scene while sipping on a glass of wine. My chosen interpretation, which is, of course, you know, fan interpretation that requires ignoring a few things, is Melania and Radon are both fantastic. And it was Mikola, well, it's Mikola after discarding his kindness. And that's the tragedy of it all. You know, it's sort of, you know, people thinking, theorizing, you know, was the Albinoric thing at the Halo tree, was that ever real? But it's sort of Mikola before getting rid of Trina, definitely. But, you know, it's before Land of Shadow. It's, you know, Mikola doesn't discard Trina until he gets to Land of Shadow, which is before Moog death. You know, after Moog death, after Radon death. But it's, you know, where's the good Mikola? Where's the bad Mikola? Or is the whole point the contradictory dual personality? It's probably the contradictory dual personality. Come to think of it, the open-air furnishings in the Angel Share are rather simple, made to have a work with a winery boss. And of course, the LED picture's worth 1,000 words. Enjoying a glass of wine, very true. Let's pick a good angle. Don't worry, I'm a professional. I trust your judgment. Let's do it. Since I'm going to be your model, you can pick my pose. Let's go with a fun pose. Okay, something like this. Coin! Money man. Cool pose. Right then, that's dangerous. Formal pose. Pick the money. Show me the money. I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay, it's almost midnight. Still got to do my Duolingo. My Japanese Duolingo. And it's gonna make it explode, isn't it? Diluc is looking at the money. Okay. Well, we can take our pictures nice and fast. That'll be enough for today and on. Oh, Sunday I'll clear stuff out. My American Labor Day, because we don't celebrate May Day because they had to stop the communists. Okay. With the Ashes. My favorite NPCs in the game are the guys on Tete Isle who watch the Ashes dance and say that it's what real men love. Because they're so right. There we go. The pro ship. Okay. So, last picture is on Dragon Spy. I love that. Take it and we'll get the photo album for real. And right over here, he's got his dandelion. Silver Mountain weapon must be a sword. Characters using charge attack or normal attack in designated area. Oh, right there by the statue. I would say... No, we gotta use Traveler for this. Gotta use Traveler for this. It's gonna say Albedo, but we're not actually on Dragonspine. We're just taking a picture with Dragonspine in the background, and the last time I ever meaningfully did anything in Windwell Highland was when I still used the Traveler for things. And, yeah, go ahead. I do like that they made Blackcliff Traveler's effective signature, because you do get it for free, it's guaranteed, and it's a lot more interesting than Dual Blade. These are nice pictures. These are just fine. I'm no longer in a time frame to take my time taking these pictures. And normal. Alright. Let's actually line ourselves up so that we end on the spot on the final one of the string. Oh, we're on the statue, so we're not moving forward enough. Okay, we should wait for the idol to finish. Let's... Yeah, there we go. Just to make sure we got this sorted out. These are nothing special, they're okay. It is actually so funny how Every now and then I wonder, maybe I should just change Wanderer's name to Mushin. Right now he's Futen. You know, Futen and Raiden to contrast to that commemorative album. Just name him me. It's funny that the name you give Scar/Wanderer is technically more canonically his actual name than the name you name your Traveler. Because the sibling and the Traveler themselves still refer to themselves as Ether and Lamine, but Wanderer's name is just Wanderer's new name. An album filled with memories of people and events that the Traveler's encountered on his travels. On this unending journey forward, too much has happened. Too many faces have come and gone. Like a traveler sleeps beneath the glittering stars each night, even their beauty may one day fade into numbness. To keep that day from coming, you must record every sight and soul you encounter. This is the wisdom that Paimon shared with you during your journey. It's been so many years, and Paimon has grown too. How heartwarming. She is not. Maybe she got fatter. That's mean. Okay, so that is done. We got everything, so that's good to go for the day. Let me add the photo album gadget. Oh, that's a quest item. Alright, we got the ineffable. We'll be able to use to change Brigida's appearance one day in the far future. Here it is. Here it is. Love it. Come on, Mihoyo. Give us our Abyss Kaya already. I'm the only one who wants it, maybe. I'm the only one who actually cares about that kind of thing. But you need to listen to me. Alright. One last thing. Prize egg for the day. That's the last thing. Prize egg. But, like I was saying before, I love Souls games, but I'll be the first to admit that aside from Bloodborne and Demon Souls, which were made in conjunction with Sony and use the Sony sound team, which I do wonder the extent to which Nintendo might have any involvement with Dustbloods, besides just funding it and having it be exclusive. Probably not. Which is honestly sad, because I would love Nintendo involvement. What I really want, I want FromSoft to make a Metroid game. Let's get an egg. And Shoki, bow before your king. Let's get the Fietana. Fietana-sama. And again, these are just food. We don't really. These are one time only if we take them and are wasted. Right. One last thing. One roll on standard. Give me good luck. Is that a blue faint line around? That's going to be how much? Yeah, but Armored Core's got great music. I need to play those games. Also, dystopian, social criticism. Okay, this is going to take us to 72. Give me something good. Okay, it's nothing. As expected. Oh well. Well, I may see you tomorrow. I may not, one way or another. Sonaragan, hope you pop in for Kirby. But you're busy. Whoever you are, have a wonderful night. If it's night.